I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
with everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
Welcome to the sesh. We were talking about that, like rehydrating. You got to think about it. This is the same thing that happens, like with people who they have these things that are written on their like instructions of medicines and what you can do for. And on preparation 8 just says for only for external use.
Yeah, do not eat.
Yeah, and it's just like who, what? And it reminded me of this, like...
Got hemorrhoids? Eat this cream.
Yeah. It reminded me of, like, a long time ago, like, when I was younger, and I was taking steroids with my buddies at the gym.
Did you put it in the wrong spot?
No, my dad recently got divorced, and he was like, yeah, I want to do the things, so, where you get the strong, get the muscles. And I was like, yeah, Pop, you can do that. But I'm like, well, I can get you some stuff from a dealer I know. And he goes, no, I find it. And he found it online, and it came in an aloe.
Oh, you told me this.
And then for a while, he was like going to the gym, and he's like, Jess, I don't think I'm using this right. And I said, well, what did you get? And he gives it to me, and it's in this like glass bottle. And then it has this like weird plunger where it's like a ball on the top of it, and you put it in there and then you extract it, and it's just aloe vera. And I'm like, why would I extract it this way?
Yeah.
And then it says for external use only. My dad been squirting in his mouth, and I'm like, good Lord, that's disgusting. Like, it was like so thick, it looked like fucking Vaseline.
Did not read directions at all.
How'd that go down?
And he took it in front of me, and he goes, oh, it's awful, Jess. I don't think it's working, though. And I'm like,
it's a bit oily.
And I'm like, but no, it wasn't. And I was like, I think this is bullshit. And I was like, this is like a long time ago before like Amazon or anything like that. And it was just hilarious, man. Because back then, like now, it'd be really easy to get whatever you want. You just go to some random site going, oh, this Indian guy looks trustworthy. I'll buy from him. Like, no problem.
Check the reviews. Yeah, he's got good reviews. We're good.
Yeah. John is one of the best.
Number 7.
He's one of the best people in this industry. You should trust him.
Yeah. Right.
John Smith.
Right. Yeah. Great reviews.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're real.
Oh, they're totally real. But yeah, that's some of the big reasons why we wanted to bring you here, man, is that, in the world of cannabis, it's really difficult to be able to discern like what's actually happening that is not all it's all like just from one perspective, and that's their perspective, right? The products, the industry, the laws, the regulations, and especially dealing with in this state, recently dived into a rabbit hole and looking at, cannabis across the United States. And they talked about other states that are really having difficulties because not just because of the black market, but because of being a rec state and extremely competitive. And that Utah still looks like they're going to be trending. Now, I don't know 100%. You would probably have a pulse better on that than we would. But at the same time, like, it's good to have a bipartisan place that you can go to read and understand, like, there's multiple areas that need to be seen from this. And when you're looking at journalism, there's very little journalism these days. There's just entertainment. And it's good to be able to have some type of journalism. So, I mean, with that, and Brandon, stop me if he's going to go into a rant that you know of.
I don't know any rants.
This is a new one, but you're hitting it where we have a lot of different narratives going on.
Yeah.
It's whether the perspectives from the industry or the patient perspective, or even, let's say, another state.
Yeah.
My job, if I'm doing my job right as a journalist, I'm unbiased. I'm just a fly on the wall that's saying what's going on and what's available, that type of stuff. Really, really the MO of Salt Lake City is just allow this program to have some transparency, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's a word that in the business world, I hate that term.
Right.
Transparency. Immediately when somebody goes, I'm all about transparency. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
He's going to sell me the entire time. That's all. But when you talk about transparency, especially like what you're hitting on, right? In journalism, everything needs to be out on the table.
Well, it's an unbiased perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm doing my job right, I'm telling you the story, not my perspective.
Yeah.
Of course, I'd like to write like Hunter S. Thompson and be a gonzo journalist, and I do that from time to time, but there's a time and place.
Yeah.
So really just writing an AP inverted pyramid style like a boring journalist is what I'm supposed to be doing.
But that's what, it's an art.
Yes.
It really is. I'm a writer myself. And when I look at that, like, yeah, you could put it all through saying, hey, chat, come up with this article based on this, right? No, it's great for research. It's great to find the other areas like, I'm having a hard time describing this and I'm kind of being biased right now. Help me discern this. Help me deduct what I am doing.
Right.
But at the same time, like, it's so refreshing to be able to learn about it, because when you look at a lot of advertisements throughout the cannabis industry, it's just advertisements. It's not actual like in the weeds journalism, because like, we consider ourselves like journalists in a way, in some ways, right? Yeah. But more of just, man on the street. Like, what do you think, Brandon?
I figure I'm more like man on the couch, but you might be man on the street.
There's
definitely man on the corner.
There's a lot of podcasts, where a guy in my position would have had to give you guys money in order to sit here so I could spat my deal, and
I mean, we've charged people to actually be on there, but
well, and it's just depending on that, right? I mean,
a lot of podcasts, that's their MO.
We just like you as a person.
After you listen to 3 of those podcasts, you're like, oh, okay, we're trying to buy stuff right now.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's a part of it, for us too. It's an evolution. We're getting close to that evolution. Here you go.
Oh, it might still be rolling. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh, so.
Oh yeah, you'll love this.
I'll show you after this.
What is this?
Whoop. No worries, dude.
This is George Jetson. It's made by Jet Filtration Systems, and this stem is how you clear it. It's the wildest thing.
And it's the cleanest bong we've ever used.
Is it with one hand?
Dude, give me that again.
What strain is that?
We don't know.
Mystery strain.
It's mystery strain.
So I was trying to think of Tony about what I've been consuming lately, because we did our product review section, and my head's so jumbled between the concentrates, the flour, even salves that we were looking at recently, the Jamba Juice from Dragonfly. That's been slapping me. Perfect daytime.
Oh, you were saying that one.
Same with Magic too. Those are perfect for the day for me. But anyways,
no, Magic is one of my favorites. When they were R&D in it, they actually asked us, like, hey, we don't even have a name for this, but we want you to try it out.
Yeah.
And I had recently been going through these really massive panic attacks. And it sucked because I had to take a break.
After taking flour or before?
It's just a lot of emotional world shit.
Mental, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, at the time I wasn't very balanced.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out my shit, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And that just kind of took me to a very level place. That was at 420 where we met.
Yeah.
And I just chilled the fuck out, and I was so happy. It was a wonderful day.
It was like a microdose experience.
I get nosy because that's one of my reasons why I use cannabis is anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm but that's a slippery slope, because you can consume some strains that will
perpetuate that.
Oh,
yeah.
So having to find out.
Is that what got you into cannabis initially? Was anxiety?
Yeah, a lot of different reasons. Pain, anxiety, sleeplessness. I used to be a heavy drinker, and that helped me get off the booze. Well, I can't say it helped me get off the booze, because back in the day, we didn't have legal cannabis to rely on, but it definitely helped.
Help wean you off of it?
Mostly the long term, I could get sober for a couple of years, but life is life, you know, and if you're not working a program or you're not solid at the time, drinking can happen quick. And my theory is cannabis is keeping me from doing a relapse down the road. At least I have an option to chill myself out,
Yeah, but now that's part of you, and you're just like, it's not like an affliction. It's just like, hey, look, I know this happens. It's the same as like, and I don't want to simplify this in any way, but at the same time, I also want to make like, this is okay. This is a normal thing, but the way that alcohol is to you is the same way that, dairy is to his girlfriend. Right? It just messes you up. You know that no matter what, like, oh, dude, I just want this cheesecake, but you're going to shit your guts out later.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go, like, is it worth it right now? And sometimes it does go that way. You're just like, I can't cope. But just like you said, like, I don't know if you have the same experience, because I talked about Brandon. I had my wife and I celebrated our 19 years, right, being married. We've been together for 21.
Congrats.
And we were just like, let's just have a drink with
dinner.
With dinner.
Yeah.
Why not? It's been a long time for us. And we're both practicing LDS, but we were just like, you know what? It's been a bit, and we tried it. And it's the last time I'll ever do it.
Yep.
I was just like, dude,
Well, and your wife felt hungover too.
Yeah.
Like she felt like
she
shit.
just had like half of it.
Yeah, it was like one drink that she had, and Utah drinks aren't strong.
No. She was just really disappointed. She's like, I remember back in the day, it was something that you took, and it kind of took the edge off.
Yeah.
But it really didn't take the edge off, right? It just made you more dumb.
It numbs stuff.
Yeah, just numb me. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I even had that earlier on in my cannabis use. My wife's like, you're just trying to numb yourself. And I'm like, no. I'm actually just trying to feel.
Right.
Because I don't block that. But now, dude, I love Hefeweizen. I love that beer. Cloudy, amberish, yellow, tastes like sunshine. Totally got fucked in my head. As soon as I took a sip, I'm like, that's not what I remember. And then we get about halfway through it, and the waitress had come by her. No. My wife asked, she goes, what do you think? And I'm like, I prefer flower.
Yeah.
Like, this just isn't, it doesn't do it for me
acquired
anymore.
Taste, right?
Yeah.
Just as you get older and you acquire new tastes, it's kind of the flip-flop for me, where that drinking lifestyle isn't sexy anymore. It used to be,
Oh, yeah.
But now, as a 41-year-old male in Salt Lake City, it's like I like hanging out with my dog.
Yeah, no, right?
Taking Doobie on a dog hike, right?
Yeah, I have a cousin, and she is, God, I would say she's probably about 30. And she's in this party phase. She just is getting divorced and that.
Yeah.
And all the time she's like, Brandon, what are you doing tonight? You should come out tonight. I'm like, man, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Like, I'm chilling on the couch with my dog and my girlfriend. Like, if not, I'm playing games with Jesse, or I'm about to go chill in bed and go to sleep soon because I'm an old man. Like,
and it's not even really about being an old man. It's really just knowing what you like.
Well, just like what you said, tastes, right? Your taste change.
That's just it. Is the old man, as I feel, is like, I'm not that same young. It's drinking, partying isn't sexy. It's not like, man, I want to be out.
Slaps you in the face from time to time.
Yeah. To me, I'm like that. My idea of a fun night sounds more like, instead of going out partying, I'd much rather have a house party, hang out with friends, chill at home, talk about life, what's going on, smoke some stuff, like just have some good tunes, whatever, and just chill.
That's what's so cool about where we're doing this, the recording here. This house has so many good memories from it, because this house is what brought me into cannabis.
Okay.
Because the previous time I had cannabis before that was like 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, longer than that. And I was just way against it.
Was it pre-military or post-military?
No, in the military, it was the very first time I used cannabis.
Okay.
And, it sounds like a Vietnam thing, and like, yeah, I was out there in Nam. No, I was in Bremerton, Washington, and I was being processed out. And my buddy goes, hey, you want to smoke a joint? And I'm like, fuck it, I'm already going out. What are they going to do? Yeah. And it was cool. Like, I started getting into writing then. I started to write poetry. And I don't even know why. And I'm like listening to 9 Inch Nails, getting something out of the song that clearly Trent Reznor did not want to do. I mean, because it was just so amazing. And then now I knew that, cannabis was a catalyst in helping me write, helping me to get in touch with, my gifts, the things that make me who I really enjoy being.
Yeah.
Oh,
try that.
Oh, okay. So is this a resin?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, it looks like
that's
a resin.
hash rosin. Actually from Humboldt. Single source, nug produced.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Whoa.
I was like, I noticed the California label.
A lot of the distillate and, edibles you find here in Utah, I guess backup is a lot of outdoor flower. That's what they use it for.
I used to use the same battery.
Blanco Gelato is the
one. You had me at gelato.
I used to use the same battery from the Puffco.
That
Whatever
is
they-
such a cool battery.
It's the only one that hasn't burned out on.
And they
I've
last
had it for years.
for so long. Yeah. Mine finally died.
And you can adjust the temperature on that. I'm trying to think that's on the low one since it's a hash
Oh,
rod.
Yeah, it's
man.
white. It's
It's
pretty low.
Yeah. I wouldn't have passed that for nothing there.
dude.
Yeah,
It's been
dude,
the
that's
last couple of
solid.
days I've been liking that one.
When was the last time
Wow.
you were out in California?
Well, I grew up in Reno, so kind of a Northern California guy in a sense.
Yeah.
Haven't been to California in years though.
Oh, dang. Okay.
I was going to do an article last year, and this is kind of a bummer story. Well, not really. There's no climaxes. I was going to go to Northern California, work on an article about the origins of medical cannabis, and have that in the magazine.
Yeah.
The trip fell through, so I never went. So that's something I've got on my list of
Yeah.
things to do.
Okay.
That's first time I saw plants in the ground was in Ukiah, California, 2007. And that's when they
Wow.
were still doing medical, of course.
That's
Yeah.
really cool, though.
The coolest part about that is we went up to the field up in the mountains. There's probably like 500 plants, I think. At the time, they could have 3 plants per patient. And as we're walking around the field, each stalk had a tag on it and a photo of the cancer patient that it was meant for. And
That's really cool.
pre-soap and stuff. I really wish I had a photo of that.
Yeah.
But again, you could have 3 plants, and the caretakers, that's how they could prove that it was for,
Yeah. For
a patient.
patients.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That really like
Could you imagine having your own grow? Not that you're growing, but a custom grower is growing, and you've got your own designated medical. You know what?
We should.
Utah should allow that, even if it's not like.
that would be
Like,
so
don't get
cool.
me started on that.
Yeah,
Really.
we've talked about homegrown and the ability to home
In the
grow,
original Prop 2, we had.
We
I think
did.
It was 4 plants, wasn't it?
but I thought it was only if you lived over 100 miles
That's
from
the
a
caveat.
pharmacy.
You had to be 124 miles from
124.
a dispensary, and all the dispensaries go up I-15.
Yeah,
It
so-
was like, where are you going to live? Vernal was the one spot that I could think of, and then everything else was national forest land. So it really
Yeah.
wasn't going to
You don't have
apply.
many options.
Dicks.
It'd make me want
Oh,
to buy
yeah.
some property out in the middle of nowhere if I could, Maybe.
Well, because they thought that out. That's why it's 124 miles.
so dumb.
Because, I-15 runs down the center of the state. So 124 miles from there, well, where can we hit? You can drive there.
I'm heading up to Montana in a couple days to go see some family, and I just found out recently that they're allowed to have 2 or 3 plants per person or per household.
Oh,
So I have
per
friends up
household.
there that are just getting ready to harvest.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it
Harvest
hurts
time.
me because I'm like, I wish I had a winter's worth of weed that I didn't
Yeah.
have to go $60 eighths, It would be very helpful for a lot of patients.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wouldn't
if
it,
you ever
though?
get familiar with that type of growing, it's even if you wanted to, you couldn't supply the black market. I don't care
No.
who you are. You can barely supply any of your close friends with just some samples,
Right?
Yeah.
So
And if you're a medical user, it's like that is literally what you're using it.
well, at the state, they thumb their nose at recreational cannabis and how Utah will never be an adult use state. And it's tough for me because what they created is a medical recreational program.
Yeah.
And
Yes. 100%.
What?
so as much as
100%.
they thumb their nose at it, it's what they created. And so
Well, it's almost the same thing. I mean, it's like, okay, well, you can't drink coffee, but Coke, Monster, Red Bull, these are
Yeah.
all okay.
All these energy drinks that
Yeah.
have way more shit
you
in
got
them.
the Sugar Shack down here. What is
Yeah.
that? There's always a line a mile
Dude,
long for people
mother.
to go in there. It
Dude,
doesn't make sense.
so delicious. Like
I've never had one.
I haven't had
did
soda
years
in
ago.
4 years now.
Oh, God. Mine's been probably 10.
Yeah,
I
I just
don't drink soda.
but it's just insane. Like there's no like I would understand. That's what I imagined when people would buy from a pharmacy. I don't want to say dispensary. Yeah, fuck it, the store, right? When they would be lined up down the street waiting to get in to get their cannabis, but it's not that way. And yet, if I need to get a soda, stat.
Yeah,
you're
the
going to
lines
wait a
are-
half hour. And not only that, you're going to block traffic. You're going to piss people off.
Yeah.
And you're not going to give a shit because
To
the
get
only
your
other
sugar-filled soda.
the only other type of addicts I've ever seen like that is in San Francisco. but they're pissing and shitting on the streets. So we're getting close to that here, where there's going to be a soccer mom going, I'm waiting all day, and she just defecates right on the ground, and she's like, I don't care, I'm going to get my dirty
Dr. Pepper,
dirty
that
Dr.
kills me
Pepper,
and everyone else in this car.
And that's
so help me God.
That's the thing, like, you know, we got to get these individuals who are sitting on the fence, and I know that they're sitting on the fence, you know, being an active LDS member, you know, and I'm a follower of Christ in that faith. That's all I got to say, right? On that part, I don't see using this as bad, and I've loved that they finally are able to get off it, but I see more people in the LDS church saying, hey, I want to learn more, but nobody can teach them about it.
Right.
And there's still a lot of old heads in there that are like, yeah, this is bad. Tattoos are bad. Like, it was a guy during church. This is funny as shit. He's over there. He's like, I've got a daughter, and she got this big old tattoo on their leg.
Going down.
Yeah, and she's like, and he goes, I was always taught that people with tattoos are bad. And he goes, well, maybe that's yours. He's like, but I just want you to have patience with me so I can learn about this and accept it. Right. And I was like, oh, that's a real grown-up answer. That's the first time. Yeah. And then he goes, yeah, but I was always taught that people have tattoos that are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I roll up my sleeves every week because I want to see who's going to come talk to me. And he kept looking at me. He's like, you talk about you got tattoos? I'm like, yeah, I roll my sleeves up every week. And I wear a kilt too. And so I was just like, when I show him that, and he's just like, yeah. And then he goes, yeah, and I got another son. He's all into metal. And people who listen to metal are evil people. And now he's got to accept that his son, and he's just like, yeah. And I was laughing because I'm like, dude, I am Satan's lapdog to this guy.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, I feel that way.
I smoke weed, I listen to metal, and I have tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to corrupt everybody in there, apparently.
You are. You're just trying to bring them all to hell.
But that's the cool thing is that I see so many people that are waiting for this, and that's why like publications like yours is awesome, and it needs to be in more circulation with more people reading it because they can start to understand that this isn't something that they were brought up. That media did a really great job of making it look like we're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Wait, making it look like?
Well, that's really how Salt Lake City was born. I've worked in journalism for, it's kind of disgusting to say, but over 2 decades now.
No, it's awesome.
And
yeah.
When I started Salt Lake City was just to do what local media wasn't doing already.
Was that before our program came into play, or was it right at like the same time?
Program came into play in 2018, right after things voted through. 2019 was kind of what's going to happen. Some people were thinking that the state was going to just get rid of medical cannabis, and I think there was that possibility. But started Salt Lake City October 2019, and anticipated to have our first magazine out 4/20/2020, pun intended.
Yeah.
Nice.
COVID happened, obviously, though. So we were building our first magazine February, getting ready to go to print for the first time, and then everything stopped. But,
yeah.
You know, hindsight, where I'm at now, I don't know if Utah was ready for a cannabis magazine then. We only had 1,500 patients, maybe 5,000 at the most.
Oh, wow.
Nobody knew it was coming. We were just going to distribute it all the dispensaries that were open. We only had Dragonfly at first.
Where was it up in Salt Lake?
What?
The Dragonfly?
Yeah, the one downtown.
Okay.
That same one that the old bank?
Yep. Yeah, they're the first one to open in March 2020.
I just remember when it came in, how afraid everyone was of Dragonfly, because they're like, oh, it's this massive like investment group, and they're doing this, and now that we've met like Nerith and that, and we're like, it's like a family who has bought businesses and started a business here and been
kind
smart
with
with
talking about it. So many different narratives, you know, and no wordplay on Nerith, but Nerith, he's a wonderful guy. The whole Pond family, but
we have yet to meet the whole family, but Nerith's been such a dope human. So
a lot of people assume that they come from over here, but they come from right across the street at Sapa.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
They're from Utah. I'm like, it's a Utah family who's lived here for years, started a restaurant here, and did well with that, and is like grown.
So that's exactly who I'd want to have one of the licenses. An
Is a
existing
Utah
business, somebody that knows Salt Lake City and how to expand a business.
And Nerith
but
is also very cannabis forward, and he is also he's a consumer. He's like,
I hit him up for advice all the time,
Yeah.
My mom needed some flower for sleep, so of course I call him and I'm like, what are the top strains? And of course,
Oh yeah,
he
he's
just
like
brings them right out
these
for
ones.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hooked him up at 420. We got a flood of products that came to us, and it was so, we were so
Overwhelmed with just
yeah, we were very fortunate, and we
Yeah.
didn't let that go to waste. I mean, we did giveaways. We hooked up friends and family. We're like, here, this is a great thing to use your cannabis, but we had so much shit that we didn't even know what we had.
Yeah.
And we had like this volcano thing from MJ Arsenal.
No, it was from
Well, who was it?
Stores?
No, we have the stores in Bickle Volcano, but it was the one made by not Air Vapes. It's the one that you have the handheld with the tube out the top, and I can't think of.
Oh,
that.
Air Riser.
Air Riser. So Air Riser has their tabletop vaporizer.
And it's pretty.
And we did a giveaway with that at the 420 event.
Yeah, but we had this it's like this kind of Canador, but it's like really hyper specific. Like they have these like little glass bulbs that go over, and you can control the humidity in
Is
there.
it like you're supposed to sip it out or something?
No. It's like a stash box that you can store individual ones, and it's humidity controlled and everything. And so we gave him that, and he was like, "Oh, this is fantastic," because he had this really nice living soil, organic grown, like really high end bud. He was like, "Oh, this was perfect for."
And we got a lot of these boxes and things like that when we gave them to friends and family. Yeah, you kind of go like, "Oh, did you ever use that?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's in my closet."
Right.
But Nareth took it, dude, and he was just like, he brought it too here when we had him on the show, and he's like, "I want to show you what I've done here."
Yeah.
And he was like, "You guys have no idea like how much of a nerd I am into cannabis."
Yeah, and he was like, "This is the perfect gift." And
Yeah.
he geeked out.
I mean, and he's just like every time his buds stay so fresh.
Right. Yeah, the first time I met him, it was clear that he was a bird of a feather. We had so much like as a consumer, and having people in the industry like that are important because there's some that are not. We have a really limited licenses here in Utah, and just spit them out real quick. 8 grow licenses, 17 tier 1 processors, and 15 dispensaries, right?
Are we limited on all the other, like the processors and the? I know we're limited on the pharmacy licenses. Are we limited on the others?
Yes and no. There's 2 types of processors, tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 2, I think, are still open. You and I could get one of those for white labeling, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Tier 1 is a license, though. You have to have the lab, and you're under the thumb of the state.
Okay, but if you white label, you're not? Oh, because it's already had to go through existing regulations.
It makes sense. It's kind of like a physician's assistant or a nurse practitioner working under the license of a doctor.
Yeah.
So you're able to do all of those things.
Tier 2, you're still probably going to need a tier 1 processor to handle the product.
Yeah.
Because that's where it would
Trim
come
the
from.
product.
Because so that makes sense with like Pure
it's already
Plant
It allows
and
them
Betty.
to put another label on the package, and I'm glad the current magazine we just finished it. We're highlighting the Utah medical cannabis family tree. We have 62 brands here in Utah, but we have a limited number of licenses.
Yeah.
Only certain sources where those are coming from.
Yeah, you showed me when I was out your house.
That's
last
crazy.
time.
Oh, it was fun putting
Very
that together, but
interesting.
really it's a roadmap on where your products are coming from. And geez, I keep talking about Dragonfly, but I go after their products
Yeah.
because there's consistency.
Yeah.
Cody Henderson, their
Oh,
lead
he grows
grower,
amazing stuff.
He is the man from Northern California.
Oh,
he
who's the
knows
other
what he's
guy on their
doing.
team? His brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're an amazing team together.
Yeah.
They do such good work down there.
We wrote an article about Cody just because of that. It's
Yeah.
nice showing patients where their products are coming from, and that there is
Have you seen
some soul involved.
a lot of consistency across the other growers here?
No,
or is there a
no,
lot of...
absolutely not. There's brands to avoid, or at least I would, because of the consistency
Is
factor.
there... You feel comfortable vocalizing those on the show?
Well, I
who you
haven't had
would just-
anything recently.
Just who you don't typically go to?
Yeah, because I mean, just to kind of soften this up, man, we really want to let you know,
Nothing
like,
that wouldn't be in the magazine.
well, no, and on top of it, like we are very unbiased here, and to not say the same thing because we love Dragonfly because of the
Yeah.
consistency.
And that's a tough thing, There's
It's
so
such a
much
good-
shade that's cast over our medical cannabis program. Sometimes that's what I'm there to do, is to kind of blockade that stuff.
Yeah.
And not through, a biased opinion, but through the facts that I know.
Yes.
I know Cody. I
Well,
can really spot where it comes from.
It's kind of like the one who came on the show and was saying, hey, there's a company who has mold in that in all their grows. I bleeped it out because I'm like, yeah, I don't know how credible that is. And then everywhere I looked, and I talked to you, and I was like, you'd probably tried way more of this and maybe even seen their grows. Yeah. And when I talked to you, you were like, yeah, no, that's not really, like, maybe at the beginning when they first were doing stuff, but now it's been...
I still have a folder full of the photos. People on Instagram, they still do send me photos, cloudy carts, and I've never seen any actual moldy weed.
Yeah.
I've always heard that just, I have moldy weed. And it's like, I
no
need to see it, right?
Yeah, that's what
kind of like the story you're talking about. I follow all those leads, and when you find out it's a disgruntled employee, and you're like, let's look into this a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, talking on Wholesome Co., that's actually who I'd answer. There was a point where I really avoided Wholesome Co. flower and some of their concentrates last year. They were just brand new. They were dialing down their lab.
Oh.
And I'm a connoisseur, so, and I have a limited budget too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Riverside.
So I would avoid them. And now they're one of my go-to brands, whether it's flower or the concentrates.
Really? They're flower?
So they've
their
stepped
hash
their game
rosin, that's Chamara Junkie. Get it.
What is that, more sativa leaning? What is that?
It's a hybrid, I would say. I'm using it mostly during the daytime, but
okay.
That's why I like concentrates, is if I want a daytime hit, I take a daytime hit. If I want a nighttime hit, I take 4 hits.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but I can tell, like, you use it the same way that we do as well. Because, earlier on, man, you seem pretty nervous and antsy. But you're anxious.
That's my anxiety thing.
Yeah, but now...
It's the reason why I'm a print guy rather than a broadcast guy.
No, but dude,
to go down that route. But.
No, dude,
I feel that. I didn't feel like I was even a broadcast guy. I didn't feel like I was a vocal in front of people kind of guy. So
it's like you hear your own voice and you're like,
oh yeah, that was really rough.
It is actually, for me, because
editing.
I do all in linguistics. Yeah. Like, it's all about the word, whether writing or speaking. And it was awesome. This is like the best thing ever to like sharpen your creative mind, especially on the writing, because you hear yourself. Like, here's the best thing that we had. I would say
over there.
Oh,
and I would always say, so yeah.
Is a bad one, yeah.
Yeah. I still say some.
It's really out of my book. I would only say, but the worst was over there. I don't know what I was talking about.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, right? And it was just like over there.
In the middle of it, like for no reason, he'd be like, so over there, and then, and continue. It's like, and then he took it out. He's like, I don't know why the hell I say that.
Yeah, it's just this weird thing. So it really kind of helps you self-reflection on that.
Not to change topics, but it's the reason why I like psilocybin and mushrooms.
Yeah. No, dude, it's a frequent on the show.
And, I rarely talk to God, but microdosing, I claim thinking of Salt Lake City, or at least the courage to do it, stem from beginning microdosing. But
interesting.
Point I'm getting on is our brains are wired kind of like a computer, and they go the same routes all the time. Mm-hmm. Now that we're a certain age, you have habits, and that's where those stem from. And I think psilocybin gives you an opportunity to kind of, you look at a snowball roll down a field and it shows the trail, or even skiers, right? This is like taking a snowplow over and giving you a new route.
Well, because they talk about it, and with your brain, that habits and patterns are electrical currents, because that's all that goes through our brain. And so it creates these electrical highways from the patterns that are so easy. Yeah. And so it's like, hey, the electricity is so used to going here that it automatically is like, well, we're going to go through these same patterns, through these same highways. And so those create bigger and bigger highways because the electricity is always going there. And you use psilocybin, and it actually activates so many more neurological pathways, and it spider webs almost like the entire brain, allowing for like all these new different ones to be created, and almost like breaking those old highways, because it's like, for me, that's been a massive thing in probably addressing and like changing who I have been over the years.
Right.
And kind of shaping who I am now.
Even like driving here today, been on the radio a lot recently, and doing interviews like this in the past, I've been nervous. So when I'm going to it, my brain just automatically thinks, oh, we got to get nervous, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough to again retrain your brain to
get out of that. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's always interesting. And I've noticed that for me, it's really weird now that we've had the show for years.
Yeah.
I am way more comfortable in myself. I mean, on our show, yes, 100%. But like today, launched Happier Headspace. And I am 100% not comfortable on that show. And it will take me time to like find that this is me on the show.
You got to find your voice, right?
But when I go on anyone else's show,
Yeah.
I'm 100% just me. And I can talk, and it's never been an issue.
Right.
I don't know.
Like you're saying before the interview, I like this type of conversation because when I go in, people ask me the same questions all the time.
Yeah.
So the interview's the same. Like you say, there's people that answer the same, but question asking can be the same.
It makes all the difference because I'm like, I don't want to go in and then these people are like, well, this is my story. This is who I am. Like, there's so much more to you than this, like, what you think that you are, because it's like, well, this is who I'm presenting to be as, but at the same time.
But you're forced into it. I mean, you remember when I started getting you to come out networking, how nerve-wracking, you know how networking is. It's really nerve-wracking. And I have been doing it for a long time, but at the same time, I have learned the best part of how to network probably since COVID.
Yeah.
COVID really took me to a different level in connection.
Yeah.
And now, Brandon knows that because I go to networking events and I do something for business, but I don't present myself like that. Right. I want people to be real. So I started telling Brandon, I was like, this is what I say. So when you go networking, tell people this. And they go, oh, hey, what do you do? I said, well, I smoke pot for a living. And they go, no. And I'm like, yeah, #1 cannabis podcast for the last 3 years. And they go, oh shit, really? Hey, so where's the best edibles? I'm like, why are you eating edibles? And then we get this like conversation going on. And then before I know it, they're like, so I want to do this at this time. And then I want to do this. And then I need to be eating these foods you're telling me, like I can get a better experience. And it was so cool because it was, I could never say that out loud. And now we have people that we know and even in the business world that the first thing that comes out of their mouth going, dude, I'm smoking this new strain. Yeah. And that's just so great.
But then they're just the person. It like takes down this persona of like, and this is what I realized when I first went into networking. It was like, man, I need to fake it till I make it because look at all these people who are successful and look at what they're doing. And then I realized over the years, none of them have any fucking clue. They're all just the same as me going there like, oh.
They're all trying to pretend.
And so instead of going and pitch slapping everyone, I'm just going to go as a human, get to know who these people are. And if I like who they are and what they do, I'm probably going to follow them and help them later. Like whether it's where they're at now or another one, it's like, because you like them as a person, you're like, okay, I want to help you. What can I do?
Yeah, I've always been a big on that one. I live the law of reciprocity. I wasn't for a little bit because I thought things were going great and everything started falling apart. So now I just serve to serve. And it's not like an ecclesiastical thing or anything. I just know that the universe corrects itself all the time by when I serve others, regardless of whatever happens. So I literally I reach out to everybody, and that's been the
reach arounds come around.
Well, and Brandon's great with that. He is.
Yeah, because I know Jesse will always return it.
Yeah, well, I feel compelled to. The good Lord asked me to. So, I mean, but it really is. It's when you let go of that facade, it's like when you were going out there before and the way that your magazine run, it's by ads, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's the lifeblood for sure. And why it's so difficult here in Utah is
tell us about that.
Our advertising rules are really strict, where typically an industry-focused magazine like mine relies on the industry it's reporting on to
help support it.
Yeah, through advertising and, well, fuck advertising.
Yeah, advertising.
Not a whole lot of other routes to get money. But, starting from the beginning, when medical cannabis first started off, they had the bill written up. There was no license holder that could do any sort of advertising at all. Pharmacies, cultivation processors, nothing. It was hard to even have a website for some of these people. And
even now I notice many of them don't.
Well, the first year, and I kind of wrote about this in the current magazine, the troubles with advertising. So this kind of on my mind right now, but no advertising at all in 2020. But we found a route where, you have license holders, but there was no rule against the white labels that these brands were going to create. And as you and I know, you have ABC company, but they have 7 different brands underneath them that are,
their label.
Yeah, exactly. And there
But
was
they're different business entities, so
Yep,
technically,
separate LLCs.
legally,
They weren't the license holder, and so
Yeah.
we relied on those companies. Fruit of Life, Heal You. Geez, I'm going to forget somebody.
so all the holding companies you would work with.
Cookies,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Relief Society, and the state freaked out. They didn't see that.
Relief
that
No,
opening up.
no,
So when it
that's
came out at the first magazine.
that's awesome.
I wish I was a fly on the wall when they're flipping through it, because they're like, they can't do this.
okay. Wait. You just triggered a memory, and this can take off a tangent, but that's okay. Super funny. You just said that, right? You go and release it. You can't say that. So this is the best part. I have a friend. She works for a university that leans a certain way religiously. Done. All right. So she's there, and this article comes out about how to find love if your loved one passes on, right? And in the article it says, when you need all your holes filled. And it goes out, and then the editor, she's reading through it when it's already gone out again. Just like she's like, yeah, she got it approved and it went through, and she rereads it, and that's where grammar matters, right? And when she put that out, like, it turned into a free for all on Reddit. It went nuts. It went all over the web. They took it down immediately, but it's there forever, and so it's. What you just said there, it just triggered that memory.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, state wasn't very happy that Utah was going to have a magazine, and hell, most legislators and employees of the Center for Medical Cannabis were not happy with that.
Wow.
I've always kind of compared that they treat me like the Utah Hugh Hefner in a sense, where so many different stories I could tell you, but
It's beautiful.
not happy Utah has a cannabis magazine. So after the first year, we survived that year. Every legislative session, they get a chance to rewrite stuff, and they close that door for us. But the caveat is they let us have pharmacies. The 15 state pharmacies, they could do advertising. However, it was really brand. They could show off their branding, hours of operation, website. They couldn't show off products, brands, or anything like that.
Interesting. Okay.
And
Good to know.
it was kind of like, you can do this, but you can't, in a sense. And they recently did that with processors, this recent legislative session, where allow processors and the brands to do target marketing. But another caveat is they can't do it outside any areas that it has to be where medical cannabis patients can access. So you walk into Dragonfly, they can do
So their
advertising
marketing
in
is
there.
only where a patient can.
Yeah, so it's, and really, get me on that topic, but the playing field isn't level in Utah right now.
No, it's not.
And with this new law, it was supposed to level the playing field, and really it just gave more benefit to the people that already had benefit, because those companies like Fruit of Life, Heal You, if you don't have a dispensary, you're kind of shit out of luck. Your products better be very popular. Where at the beginning, these companies were fueling Utah's medical cannabis. The vertically integrated companies, they would open their pharmacies, but their processing wasn't set up yet. So they would rely on Fruit of Life. And but then when stuff got developed, they're like, we don't need you so much anymore.
So were they doing a lot of white labeling?
Yeah.
Good
And
for
that's the main
them.
reason why we did the article that we did, because there's a lot of brands that kind of get hidden amongst the field, and it's mostly because they're not a pharmacy owner.
Do you have a favorite one who is not among the field?
I got a bunch. Fruit of Life.
I haven't even seen them. Where are they? Are they Wholesome Co? Where do
They're
you find?
Wasatch Extraction. At
Where
least
do you
that's
buy
the name
the
of the
product?
Wherever any pharmacy will pick them up, and
I haven't
thank
seen-
God for Steve and Fruit of Life that they're popular, so you can find them at Dragonfly, Wholesome Co,
Okay.
Beehive, Cureleaf, I think even Block.
Okay.
But there's other brands where I know Matt at Riverside, he doesn't have a pharmacy license, and he has a lot of problems getting his products behind doors. And I happen to like his Hoodoo RSO syringe.
Huh.
And
I've seen his in Cureleaf.
yep, I got
Yeah.
to check before I go in those sometimes to see if it's actually
If they have
there.
it.
hmm
Huh.
And where I usually get it at Dragonfly, but I also like their distillate syringe.
Okay.
They don't carry that one for some reason. So if I want to get that, I got to go to somewhere else. And that's a tough thing with patients is unless you know this industry, you're just kind of going in blind and giving whatever's given to you.
Yes.
And hence why Salt Lake City's around. And the transparency factor is big. We've always claimed that we're doing local news that local news won't do, and unless it's a negative story, Fox 13 usually doesn't talk about cannabis.
Yeah.
And if they do, they tiptoe around a lot of the stuff and make it a Utah legislation.
Yeah. It's got to be something with handcuffs on it.
Right.
Every single time they're just like, all right, and bring them in. And you walk in.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy produces a magazine that informs consumers and businesses and potential growth for the state.
Right.
All right, and how do you plead? What's going on here?
Right.
You're already guilty before they even do it because you're spreading propaganda.
Yeah, and God, that's where I find myself stuck in between two groups. The patient population that is against the program, they assume I'm a stooge for the program.
Right, of course.
And then the industry and mostly politicians, they assume that I'm a stooge for recreational cannabis. And I'm, pushing for a legalization that they don't want.
Yeah.
Which it's clear that Utah wants cannabis. And one of these days, legislators are going to kind of catch on, and not to bounce around on topics last year. 2023, Utah spent $138 million on medical cannabis in Utah alone, and that's only through 80,000 medical cannabis patients. So.
Yeah. Well, and it was either you I was talking to or Nareth, and he said that 60% of Utah products don't even come from the state, from patients. So they estimate that the use of...
no, that's like 55% actually. So take every cannabis consumer in Utah, put them in a group. 55% of those people are still getting their herb from black market or
out
other
of state
programs.
Of course.
But that number doesn't look so sexy, but just 3 years ago, it was 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So the switch is happening.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Las Vegas, Colorado, they were killing it from our state alone. I mean, you go to any neighboring border state that had cannabis,
anytime you were
Utah
there,
plates.
That's all you'd see. Yeah.
Well, and that's a tough thing too. Talking about advertising is we have Deep Roots on our back cover as one of our advertisers, and I would obviously, and I did offer that to every Utah company, but if they don't take it, we got to get the magazine out somehow.
Oh yeah. But that's someone who still, unfortunately, and this is what it is truly your magazine is for patients.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, it's not for the legislature. It's not for the corporations here.
No.
It's for the patient.
That's why I push for home grow rights and other stuff like that, where industry people kind of thumb their nose at it.
Unfortunately,
really,
grassroots is a perfect thing for the patient because there are patients here who are like, well, I can't afford that. I can't justify Utah pricing spend. I can't justify the pricing for a mid-card on top of that.
Well,
and so
exactly.
A Colorado trip, going to Dinosaur or Windover or Mesquite or Vegas, wherever, that these are way more affordable and easy for them to navigate. Yeah. And they
less
can still,
red tape.
And they can still get the medicine that they need. And it's like, maybe, like you said, we have... It started from 100% of products for Utah patients being bought on either legacy or out of neighboring states. Mm-hmm. So now at least we have brought a good portion, 45% into that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at is the switch is happening. It's not going to be 100% overnight, and I don't think it's.
I don't think it'll ever be that way.
But I don't think it's bad that you have grassroots in because again, your reason and intent is to help educate and inform the patient.
That's where I came from, and that's what I know. We have some
you gave those
consumers that
options
all they know is legal cannabis, right?
Right.
And then me on the flip side, we've been consuming cannabis for a lot of years and discreetly for reason. I was always the stoner journalist in the newsroom, but not everybody knew that, and he didn't really want people to know that. Now it's the opposite, and walk around telling people what I do. It's still weird telling people I publish a cannabis magazine, especially in Utah. But it begins those conversations.
When I'm always thinking of how someone could be able to present themselves in a unique way that makes them memorable. Yeah. And you had said something earlier, and that's all I'm going to remember you by. and it's going to be like, this is the Hugh Hefner of cannabis in Utah. Like, literally, if I heard that in any networking group, I'd be like, what the fuck does he do? It'd be like, I want to talk to that guy. Like, what does he do?
He's an agitator.
Yeah, he's agitator.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's a funny story, and I think you guys probably know it. Tom Prasad, the creator of High Times, he went to the University of Utah, started working with the Free Press here in Salt Lake City, and the idea of High Times started here. He just took it to New York with Ed Rosenthal, and the rest is history, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? So I always like to claim that, we're giving Utah what they always lost.
Truly.
And a lot of people still don't assume we have a cannabis culture in Utah, but we do. It's pretty prominent.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're finally able to come out of the shadows. Still, some are hiding behind the shadows. That's why I appreciate you being in Utah County, because the flip is happening here. And this is the epicenter, right?
Well, and that's the funniest thing is we were really quiet about it at the beginning because it was like, well, we didn't have our med cards. We were in Utah, and we were in Utah County.
Yeah, and we got all of our product from California.
Yeah.
Every single thing, because it was before the state start. Our first episode aired like June 29th, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, I mean, it was brand new here, and everybody thought we were from California. Everybody thought we were from California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I always had like like even when we met Nerith, like I hit them up through because they like all of our stuff, and I'm like, I was a little baked, and I'm like, I'm just gonna reach out and say, hey, we should collaborate on something. Send. They're never gonna talk to us. Yeah, we'd love to talk to you. Sweet, we'll come in. What do you mean you come in?
That's
we're in Utah County, and they're
some
like,
of the coolest connections is just through the Instagram.
Yeah.
Messaging. Reaching out or having other people reach out to us. A lot of people think Salt Lake City is a lot bigger than just little old me.
Yeah.
So we have companies that, and you probably get that same routine. The influencer treatment too. And we only have nine companies in Utah that we can legally rely on for advertising for the magazine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's pretty small, at least cannabis based.
Well, in cannabis space. So are there other companies that are pro cannabis that are willing to be able to advertise with you?
Yeah. They're the only reason we have a magazine, and
that's cool.
I'm going to brain fart right now, but other local businesses that aren't cannabis related, 80% of them are sponsors in the magazine. And
that's awesome.
That's usually because the business owner is pro-cannabis and wants to support, the owners of Shades Brewery. And I need a magazine in front of me just to read them all off.
Set them
hey,
over
where
there
is it? Yeah, grab it. Let's read those off.
But that's where, it showed me that we needed a need for this in Utah. Empire Merchandise. Oh, the guys at Moonlight. That's where...
we were talking about that.
So no, this is funny. It's kind of tells the origin story of this. Looking Glass is right next door, my other favorite smoke shop. But 2017 is rolling around. We see Prop 2 coming. And I've been in journalism my entire career, and I just recently got out and started doing sales and marketing. And I'm like, this cannabis industry seems like maybe something to get into.
Yeah.
And cultivation was calling my name. And so got a job with the guys at Moonlight because I thought that's where I was running into all the hemp farmers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I knew the medical cannabis growers were going to have to start going through there. And that would be my connect. And 2018 rolls around, the program's marching on, and I see there's a different need. We have people coming into Moonlight that are asking about the medical cannabis program. They're a grow shop, and people are coming in for legal advice about how to get their affirmative action letter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or do we even still have a program? And so sitting with Russ and Cody down there one Saturday morning, it just kind of hit me like a brick that Utah needs a cannabis magazine because we're answering all the questions already, right? So instead of going in the world of cultivation, and honestly, the more familiar I get with commercial cannabis, it's the last place I'd want to go to work.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No.
A home grower or a small scale, it's a way different energy and feel than...
Yeah, it's a different product.
That's where we were excited too at Moonlight is, again, we had home grow written into the ballot.
Yeah.
And they're the only grow shop in the state. So there was like, the big heyday was about to come that, never came. They still get a lot of business from the Utah medical cannabis industry and the industrial hemp program, but it's not what we'd hoped for. We'll put it that way. And again, I keep bringing it up, but if Salt Lake City could change anything, that's number one on my list.
Is allowing homegrown. Yeah.
That's so cool, especially that, because you don't hear that enough. I mean, and I understand it from a business perspective. They're like, you're potentially taking clients away from us, but it really isn't impacting it, because you think about it, the black market actually takes that anyways.
That's the big threat,
Yeah.
is the black market. And I don't care how low our Utah medical cannabis prices go, they can never compete with black market.
No.
But there's a reason why I choose products behind a pharmacy than black market, is I get to pick what strain I'm after. It's not the take it or leave it mentality.
Oh, yeah.
I get to know the terpenes, the cannabinoid levels in my flower, and I get to be a connoisseur, instead of just a cannabis user.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like where you can actually, like one of my favorite ones that apples and bananas, is that
you were talking about that in a recent podcast. I got a gram of that just to check it out.
What did you think?
It was fantastic.
Who's the grow?
That's
Dragonfly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Dragonfly.
Because I learned that Zion grows apples and bananas, and supposedly they hit like the highest THC percent.
Blake and the Zion crew, they don't get enough credit. They've been producing craft cannabis since the beginning. One of the few growers that actually use living soil, which is big.
They use living soil?
They did when they first started.
Okay.
I don't think they do anymore. The only grower I know that's doing living soil now is Standard Wellness.
Would you make an introduction to Blake?
Yeah.
Do you? Okay.
That'd be great.
So there's a patient who may or may not grow for them, but doesn't ever talk to me from a grower's perspective, but is really
from
proud
the
of,
shadows,
really proud of their work.
Yep.
like anonymous or something.
But I've always been curious, because I'm like, well, I would love to go see their grow. I'd love to meet Blake and see their but it seems like there's always this shadow of like trying to be very.
Well, didn't they say that they got kind of like screwed over? They went on another type of podcast.
Yeah, they had originally, and this is, I think I talked to you about this last time we were up there, they had sponsored or donated products to original Utah podcast, which I think the only other one was In the Weeds.
Yeah.
Which we talked about was just Tim and someone else, and they were...
Well, originally it was Tim and Blake from Zion.
Why would Blake shit on his own products, though? So it wouldn't be that...
This is from the very
it must
beginning
be a different
Utah in the
podcast.
Weeds, and then they split up, and Tim joined with, he's going to kill me. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Anyways, they split up, and Blake, he wasn't on the podcast anymore.
Maybe it was that podcast, maybe it was a different one, but I guess someone
they kept
just
the
was...
name, it just kind of evolved into something else.
Someone was shitting all over their products.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is for patients. And if you have good products, that benefits the patients. If you have shitty products, that doesn't benefit the patients. But if they have good products, it doesn't matter.
You got to grow and make something worth writing about. And
right.
To be honest, when I first got Utah medical cannabis products, I wouldn't even show my friends.
Oh, yeah.
We had some hash.
Yeah, we shit all over them.
Oh, all the time. I had friends, because people would bring it.
Yeah.
I would have friends bring Utah products, and we would...
Like Sunday Driver?
Oh, my God. Whoa. And they're like, here, let's smoke this. And I'm like, let's smoke anything else. I would much rather smoke any strain I have. Even my
I wouldn't even care if the bowl was just filled.
Like my booty strains were better than the Utah strains.
What kills me now, I did a social or an Instagram post yesterday, and somebody made a comment that, they would buy more products if the products were good. And I hate hearing that, because now that I've gotten more familiar with the industry, there's a lot of crap out there.
There's a lot of good product.
There is.
I think there's just... So the problem is most people in Utah are looking for, and this is my guess, bottom shelf deals.
Yeah.
So they're going, what's your cheapest product? What's your highest THC? Because apparently...
Shopping by THC percentage.
Is ignorant.
Yeah.
It's quite ignorant.
It's one of our biggest fights.
This is going to be our best experience. And it's like, no, it's not. And if you knew anything about the entourage effect, you wouldn't even bother with that.
So, tell us kind of, go into that, because you're pointing out something pretty interesting there. I mean, that's a constant conflict, the THC.
Because, and I can see why. I think people associate THC and the amount of it to dollar amount. If you're buying
dollar per value,
35% THC eighth, you're going to pick that up every day over the one that's 20, right? But you and I know, or we all know here, that THC, a little bit of it at least, goes a long way. And really, it's just the fuel, and where the other cannabinoids and terpenes come into play is they steer which direction you go. It's how I discovered magic. Dragonfly is the first batch I got, it was only 15%. And
I think ours was maybe 18. If
the
that.
bud tender there, he told me, he's like, Cole, nobody's buying this flower, but it's the best flower. And nobody's buying it because it's only 15% THC.
Yes.
So I take it home, and it's the best flower I've had in years.
That's
almost.
amazing. Yeah.
It was but that's tough to tell the patient. That's why we wrote about it in this current issue, and letting people know that there's a lot more to cannabis than THC. A lot more. That's just a sliver.
100%. But it's the like going in and like, oh, hey, what's the highest percent? Same with a cart. They're looking for this high percent of THC. And I'm like, but you're missing all of the experience that comes with it.
Yeah.
Versus just your high THC, that's great. You're probably going to get higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of like muscle tension, things like that, just because you're not getting all the other terpenes and cannabinoids because you're getting more of the high dose CBD. And there are some amazing 35, 36% strains that we've had.
Sure, yeah, I'll go after that.
100%.
But Utahns are I mean, in almost every market over there, because of certain markets that are older than others, that's where the issue starts to come, because those are mature markets. So they have their high shelf, they have their mid shelf, and then they've got that shit in a plastic jug at the bottom.
Right.
And it's $6, and it's on sale today for $4.
Yep.
Like it is, they don't care. They'll get that. And so when they would go to Colorado, they would go down around Denver, and it's just like, it's like Tijuana with weed. Yeah. And so you're just able to go, what's the cheapest you got? Like, and those guys are great. They're like, shit, we're trying to get rid of this stuff. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. We'll give it to you for $10 for a full cart. And you're like, oh, I'm getting such a great idea. This perpetuating feeling of like, I've just got to be completely stoned out of my mind in order for cannabis to be working.
Well, and the thing is, and being stoned out of your mind is, it's harder the longer you consume, because the more you consume, the amount of receptors that you have, they disappear. So you have less receptors to bind to. So you have less opportunity to feel really high.
And that's why I try to, use alcohol and cannabis as an example for people that are just learning about cannabis. Like, you can keep drinking and it's going to keep fucking you up.
Oh, yeah.
Where cannabis, you're going to hit a level where it doesn't matter if you keep smoking.
Nope.
You're probably going to fall asleep, if anything.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's the thing. That's why, that discussion about percentage, like percentages, is such a marketing term. Yeah. And that's all it's become, right? Percentage used to be like, back in the day, be like, bro, this weed's like 9%. They're like, whoa. Now people are like, dude, that's like mids. I can't smoke that. And like,
could you imagine going to a store, a pharmacy, a dispensary, and they have 8% weed? Well, it's no offense, I would honestly think that was hemp.
It
would be, right?
I would think it was a hot hemp that was sold, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't pay for that.
Right. Here's a thought. And I want to know what you guys think on this one, but it almost makes alcohol consumers more responsible than cannabis consumers, because if a majority of cannabis consumers are looking for high THC, that's like people coming in.
Everclear.
Yeah, every time. They're like, yeah, I need to get drunk. You're like, blind drunk?
That is like, pretty stupid when you put it that way, to think like, if we compared Everclear with high THC, that most of our industry is going, hey, I'm looking for shots of Everclear. Do you have that? Actually, no, don't give me a shot. Just put it in a bottle with a straw. That'd be great.
You have anything in a mason jar with no label on it? It says peaches on the top.
X's on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Like
guaranteed to make you go blind.
But doesn't it kind of like, I mean, that's just kind of like a high thought right there, but it's like, that doesn't make any sense, because it's like what you said. Once you start enjoying cannabis and you now can start tasting the terpenes, the flavonoids, and you can taste the quality. Like somebody, like one of my favorites right now is Black Amber.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And my wife, like, she does not like flower, at least didn't. And now she really has come to like flower more than anything. And I just introduced her to concentrates, and then she's like, you know what? That's pretty awesome too. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, and it lasts a lot longer. And I'm like, it's for different times. Yeah.
Carts were the easiest to get her into, but every other experience is better.
Yeah, edibles, like, she has a weird metabolism. She could eat 100 milligrams and it wouldn't touch her.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
but she smokes a little bit, right? So it black amber, and we were saying like it smells like what was that? What's it called?
Oh, petrichor. The smell of rain.
Yeah, it's a smell of rain, and somebody goes, "Oh, that's chlorophyll," and I'm like, "No, I know what chlorophyll smells like. This smells like petrichor," and I told my wife that, like, I was like, "You can pay attention when you're like, it's similar to just being a connoisseur." I like that. I used to kind of shy away from that, but now I'm like, no, I'm a canna snob. What is that? I'm not going to smoke it if I don't know what it. Well, that's not true.
Well,
we just smoked that today,
but
we
you
knew
know
where it came
the source,
from. Yeah,
and
we
know
did.
the only problem was I had way too many, and I didn't label that one, and it sat there for so long that I was like, "Well, this is terrible."
I mean, it was so good, but that's the thing. It's I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm hoping that people are actually going to evolve into the craft drinker type. And I that's probably how you and I, the three of us, are consumers.
Yeah.
I'm going over, smells and appearance, kind of like you go after wine or something.
Totally.
Or a good liquor, like a scotch.
If you're new to cannabis, like many people are here in Utah, they need to acquire that taste in a sense. And that just comes from doing products, and getting familiar, unfortunately. So it's a slower thing for some people.
It kind of sucks because, with most medications, you go in and you pay a little bit from your doctor, your insurance covers a lot, and you try one thing, and obviously you get side effects, and he's like, oh shit, well, let's try another one.
Right.
It's the same thing with cannabis of like, well, this one, I really liked the experience. This one I didn't. This one made me feel this way. This one made me feel this way. And sometimes you find one and they just stick with it because they're only looking for one type of like alleviation from whatever ailment is that they're experiencing.
Yep. And that's what's kind of tough for Utah patients, and why I think the renewal rate's as low as it is the industry's not developed enough to keep getting the regular stuff there. Where, like you said, if I'm a sour diesel fan and I get it from XYZ company, I go in the next time, they don't have sour diesel, so I have to do something else, and that kind of screws you all up because then you have to try it again. It's why I buy grams often, is we don't get pre-rolls here in Utah, so that's the closest thing I can get to test some weed before.
Which is not, I mean, it's not bad price, comparatively speaking.
Pure Plant does well. Dragonfly, they're all right. It still kind of bums me out that a gram's the same that I paid in high school, $20.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I know, right?
So we talked about this, and I'm like, so it's medicine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if I were to be able to buy a 10-day supply of a medication, or a 30-day supply of a medication, or a 90-day supply of a medication, it doesn't change in price depending on that. I mean, it does, but it's more equating to the amount of pills. Not like, hey, well, you bought 1 gram, so it's 20. You bought 5, it's 70. You bought, 28, and it's $300.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very difference in our medicine that we have. Like you said, it's a very rec medication field that we have here, in the fact, because if it was truly medicine here, our gram price should be the same price per gram as an ounce price per gram, because it's medicine.
Right. You talked to Nevada people that were medical cannabis patients when recreational cannabis came out. Just wiped it out.
Yeah.
And they had to start paying for, recreational prices. And so I try to tell people in Utah, careful what you wish for. That's why I brought up the 138 million earlier, is if we were Nevada and had the same laws, legislators would have pulled in $27 million.
Oh, yeah.
And
100%.
they're catching on to it. So those that were thumbing their nose at medical cannabis, now they're kind of scratching their chin.
Going, oh, wait, what?
Like, well, maybe let's add something to
maybe
the
Relief
tax,
Society
right?
would like some of those edibles. They would. No. You brought up something interesting because it kind of got my high mind going. I'm like, you don't see anybody at Walgreens going, have you tried Lexapro? It's pretty great. 350 milligrams is where I'm rocking right now.
Yeah, right?
Right? Or nobody goes like, hey, what type of insulin are you taking?
Yeah.
Is that pretty good for you? And
how many times a day are you shooting up?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how often are you shooting? Where do you shoot? Can I see the site? Oh, yeah.
No,
that's
it's inside my urethra. I can't show you that.
Oh, no. Brandon's the only one that takes injectables that way, everybody. But, no. Like,
I like to live on the edge.
Yeah. Or on the tip. Anyway, but I take a medication, Trulicity, right now, and it's a life-saving drug that has changed my life with diabetes. Okay. And I talk about that openly. If I hear somebody is waiting for that, and I'm like, what's your thoughts on it? And they get all weird with me. They go, and I'm like,
why are you getting nosy?
Yeah. It's the same fucking thing when you go into a dispo.
Yeah.
When you go in there, everybody's all about, I'm like talking to everybody.
Yeah, I love asking the bartender, what have you been enjoying lately?
I even ask the patients that I'm sitting down with. I'm like, hey, what are you guys getting today?
Dude,
what are you guys checking out?
There was this guy in front of me, and it's the funny thing when I tell people, I'm like, the majority of people that you see in a dispensary are not the people that you would think would be in a dispensary.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Mostly middle-aged people.
It's been really cool.
It's so cool. But I'm always like, I just want to be able to know what's going on with them. So I'm like, hey, does your bishop know you're here? That's what I said to this guy, and he goes, what?
That's probably like, too close to home.
That's funny.
And it would have been, I would have loved it if he would have said, knows I am.
Right? I am.
And I'd be like, high five. Like, fireside takes on a whole other meaning now. Mm-hmm. But
you're like changing out sacrament bread for edibles next week, right? Gonna really feel the Holy Spirit.
Society, they're making a grand re-entrance into the industry here, I think.
Nice!
They had products at the very beginning. They're the first ones that sold ounces in Utah.
Oh,
wow.
That's so cool. Hey, I haven't
really seen or heard of Relief Society.
Nobody really has, unless you're a patient the first year, I think. But
everything of ours.
Bijan Sakaki, he's owner over at Beehive, and he doesn't get enough praise as well. When it comes to craft flower.
What do they
do?
They do buzz.
Yeah, we did try.
Yeah, we tried some buzz. It was lemon
sherbet lemon. Sherbet
lemon, and
Chemdog, yeah.
He knows his strains. That's why I like it. And it's usually the new and up and coming stuff that I haven't heard of.
Okay.
RS11's one of their good ones right now. And they just had a pheno hunt with tiger eyes. So you could go in there and get a couple grams of 5 different tiger eyes and vote it through, And
yeah. That's cool.
Just give some patient participation, We're about to launch it on Salt Lake City in about a week, where people will be able to do product reviews on our website.
Oh, that's
where
nice.
they can discuss the effects, what brand it was, where they got it from, even price. I want that to be on there big time.
Good.
So it will get the conversation out there, but make it fair. I hate people yelling at Utah, we're so much higher than Oregon. Of course we are, but when it comes to prices in Nevada,
you can't compare
people that go to Deep Roots, it's like, you are wasting your time.
Well, I think about it, and I'm like, all right, so we look for our bottom shelf here. Mm-hmm. You're maybe $45 a gram for a cartridge. And if they go across the state all the way to Dinosaur, they might be $30, $35 for a gram. So they might save $10 to drive 6 hours round trip and spend the gas on one cartridge. Now, if you buy the limit, which I know if you're in concentrates in Colorado, it's 7 grams.
Yeah.
So if you're getting 7 grams from one place, like you're literally saving $70, maybe.
And if you're buying it on a discount, you just bought really old weed.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was bottom shelf. Yeah. You bought bottom shelf.
Old weed.
And that's why one of the things that Brandon was like, I don't like their distillates that Dragonfly's pushing out, the zeros.
I haven't tried one of those.
I haven't either.
Not the experience. I don't like the idea.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Dragonfly or
No,
really
we
anybody.
love them.
No.
Distillate is hot dog water. Like, let's move on to live rosin. Let's get the full plant.
But it wasn't their distillate because
I love that hot dog water.
Artificial terpenes are.
That's what it was. They're putting. It's the ones. The zeros are plant-derived terps.
And see, that's a little bit different, but still.
But the thing is like
if you're buying a cheap cart, they have.
But most of them are. Yeah. Most cheap ones are
definitely botanical.
Yeah. So I understand because, again, like I said, most of the patients here, I think, are looking for that bottom dollar.
They follow the cheap prices. That's why.
Well, because they're on
Huga Chews and Riverside are so popular, is they're cutting every price.
Really?
This was me, and I would love to hear your experience, or maybe they've changed because I haven't bought Riverside since we started.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But when I started, I felt like every single, it didn't matter what cartridge, whatever it was, all of them seemed to have the same terpene profile, the same buttery thing that I was like, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter what strain I try. Every single one has that same. And so I I leaned away from them.
Well, it hits with the consistency factor, at least for me. If I go in and get a product that isn't what it was last time or what it was advertised,
yeah.
I'm not doing that again. Damn.
Oh, same. Yeah. Because it's not what you want.
Well, and that's what's so awesome. I mean, by being able to provide those reviews for locals is so important for every single state. It's really important to have it and not just rely upon Leafly or Allbud or whatever.
I appreciate what you guys do because, if I'm curious about a strain, I'm sure you guys have talked about it. I can look it up and get a deep dive,
Yeah. And see how we
you
act.
don't get that in a Leafly review.
Yeah.
And it's
we've read some really funny, entertaining Leafly reviews for sure.
Oh, we'd love those.
I'd get fired at Leafly because I'm just too long-winded. If I'm reading a review that's only 50 words long, that's bought and paid for. It's not what it is, And so ours are always like over 500 words.
Because it doesn't truly give you a real understanding of the experience of what the product is and what you could expect.
The experience, too, is everybody's experience is a little bit different.
Always, yeah.
Glazed apricot gelato. I love that
you
flower.
loved it.
The nose on it was wonderful.
Oh my
gosh. That's what won me over from the beginning.
It
but
smelled and tastes delicious.
It smacked me around a little bit, and that's why I liked it. My tolerance is kind of high, so it's when I find a strain like that, I'm like, okay, I'll remember that at night.
We got this weird anxiety with it. Now, however, when I combine it with another strain, when I combo it,
it was he liked it.
Salad.
Oh, dude,
okay.
It leveled it out, and it was just there was a terpene in there that made me anxious, and that's the thing too, where people go, I don't smoke sativas because it makes me anxious.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You're going by percentage. That's why you're saying that.
Yeah.
The reason why you feel uneasy is because that percentage is way too high. Get a
lower percentage, go for terpenes, find a better cannabinoid profile, and get that entourage effect for like a full, complete experience versus just like a weird jittery high.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just it. The more people learn about the entourage effect, the more... That's where you got to start. Once you lead that,
it's the best experience you will ever have.
Dude, I will never call distillates. I'll say that's hot dog water.
Yeah.
You got any hot dog water?
But
that's what it is. Don't give me your hot dog water. Give me a product that I want.
That's funny.
Oh, I love that.
But there's some people that's what they want. And that's how I can kind of tell the difference between a true cannabis consumer and just somebody that's dipping their toe in.
But I like that though too. That's why our whole podcast was started on distillates.
Well, that's all we had.
That's all we had.
I remember I bought my first cartridge in Denver. It was one of the better experiences of my adult life.
Yeah.
Mine was Cortez.
If
he got me,
we would have had cartridges in high school, or even if you would have just told me about cartridges in high school, I'd been like, all right, future, come on.
Right? Oh my
gosh. That's so...
The first cartridges were mind-blowing because...
The conveniency factor, right?
Yeah. I was just blown away because I was using, I don't know, at least a quarter an ounce a week. And then...
Carts changed the game.
Carts were just like, oh my gosh, this...
I didn't remember that.
What did you do before? What did you do before carts? Were you carrying around a joint? Did you carry around a dugout?
Kind of like Sublime, you got two joints on you all the time.
I would carry like a dugout one hitter sometimes.
Dugout just wasn't enough for me, and
it doesn't do.
But at the
very
same
much.
time, I got busted up in Park City for a grinder of weed, so I got holding and paraphernalia because I was getting ready to roll a joint. I don't know what made me remember that story. That was only 2 years before medical cannabis started. I'm probably one of the few that have still gotten arrested for cannabis the past 5 years, but that's still happening too. Don't get me started on that.
No, let's get started on that.
Communities like this in Springville, it doesn't happen as much anymore. Springville in particular, patients were calling me and they're like, hey, I just went to the dispensary, the cop followed me home. Or I just left the dispensary, cop pulled me over, lectured me about pot.
That's gross. Springville, I hope you're listening to this because that's really gross. You need to get with the program.
The guy, Cannabis was a dispensary at the time, and they did a good job at talking with the community, but also, setting the record straight. It's medical cannabis, and that's the trouble that we're in right now, is depending on what community you go to, some people still don't know we have medical cannabis.
Yeah.
They
don't
hear
even
us
view
talking
it
about
as
a medical cannabis program, and they're like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
It's funny. I was wearing a hoodie, and it had cannabis and the leaf on it.
Yeah.
It's the one that looks like Adidas hoodie.
Yeah.
And where was it? Oh, it was going into a concert or something. And this guy was like, that's illegal, right? And I was like, You know, it's actually a medicine here, and we've had a medicinal program in Utah for the past like 5 years, and you can actually get a medical card for that. So that's actually considered a medicine. But good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Well, and that's why I say what I say. I mean, the way that I tell people in business what I do is the same way I introduce myself in church.
Yeah. Well, you're normalizing the plant.
And need to.
And that's what needs. There's still, especially in Utah County, there's a lot of cannabis consumers that don't want to let their friends know or their family know that they're cannabis consumers. There's a reason why cartridges and edibles are the most popular product in Utah County. Where you go to Salt Lake, it's flour, like it is anywhere else. But the discrete factory,
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's like they would almost like actually like admit that they look at porn rather than saying that they smoke pot.
Right.
Like they'd be over there going, "Is this your pot?" And going, "What?"
Well, it's like
I look at porn. She's like, "What?" She
like
throws away the pot.
closeted pot smoker that you were talking about, the business owner here.
Yeah.
And I thought he was Mormon, and then you told me
No.
he had left the church and he's still a closeted pot smoker.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
because he thinks he's going to be branded as an idiot in the business world, but he has
Versus
no idea.
just showing-
that's why I avoided it in the journalism world.
Yeah.
You were going to be coined the pothead. That meant you were lazy. It meant you were pretty dumb. Weren't serious about life.
that's why I never told my family. Like, I educated them about it, but I never told them that I actually consumed it until it was years later. And then I was like, you guys know that the last 3 years, every time that you have seen me, I would be what you would have classified as high.
Yeah.
Because I had cannabis in my system.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, every time.
Yeah.
Every time you have seen me.
My family
the
was
war
cool
on
about it.
drugs worked really well.
Oh, yeah. It was a good marketing campaign.
We lost my dad back in 2016, and it all stemmed from a hip surgery or a hip replacement that went bad, where he and I have the same alcohol gene, but this introduced him to pills. And where he got in trouble is they did the first hip replacement and they fucked it up. And so he had to get it redone again like 18 months later. So that meant he was on pills from there until there. And then after he had that surgery, he was still on the pills. And that spiraled out of control. And we didn't have medical cannabis in Utah at the time. And that's kind of where the passion comes from. Because the war on drugs worked on him. He wasn't going to do anything illegal. He wasn't going to get arrested, blah, 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 become a stoner. But if we would have had medical cannabis in 2016, it might have been enough for him to go, okay, let's check it out,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's the sad part, too, because I hear that story all too often where
so often.
it's, and I don't want to say it's too late, but it has gone too far.
Yeah, we're still losing people. I'm working with Nareth for our next magazine. We finally have the stats that shows, we've always had the stats of people that we lose on opioids and those ugly numbers.
Yeah.
And since we've had medical cannabis around, those numbers have started to drop. Is
Oh,
it
that's
coincidence or is there,
Well,
some legitimacy in medical cannabis? And our argument is there 110% is. And I've been waiting for these numbers because we all know what cannabis does to communities. We've seen it across the country.
Yeah.
But still pretty taboo in Utah, so it's not going to work here.
Yeah,
And it is.
right?
The kids aren't picking it up. It's allowing people to take a different option. And we found that pharmaceutical and the companies that push them haven't been as honest as they should. And that's one thing I can always say about cannabis is we have so many rules and regulations that we're about as transparent as you get. We don't even get the credit for the good stuff, because the feds haven't studied it yet or whatever.
Yeah, because there is really high quality stuff, like really good stuff for it. And it's like, oh, well, that's not backed by peer-reviewed science. That's, double-blind study.
Schedule 3 will help with that, but at the same time, we need to be descheduling the plant. Schedule 3, and if you want to go down that, it kind of scares me. Right now, things are pretty unforeseen. More will happen through 2025, but it seems like we gave all the control to the pharmaceutical companies, in a sense. And my worry is that all the grassroots movement and companies that have been fighting for this are going to get wiped out.
As soon as any large money comes in,
Yeah, if it becomes, and that's the thing that I always worry about.
Craft, unless they can do really good like craft, because I could see it being kind of like
beer,
alcohol.
Right?
Yeah, where we have really large names of like
Wasatch, Shades, Epic.
But I mean, even like, but then we have the baselines of like, oh well, you got your Bud Light or your Miller, or like these big, massive names.
Hot dog
Stuff you get
water.
at the gas
You got
station,
your hot
exactly.
dog water, and then you have your craft custom thing. And I wonder if it would be the same thing with like big names in pharmaceuticals, and then really delicious craft grows that have care in that versus this commercial level that you're like, it is a difference.
Well, they
in-
got to open up the market. Right
Yeah.
now with the closed market that we have, it's created these commercial type, vertically integrated companies. I feel bad for the companies that, have to report to the Center for Medical Cannabis. I hear about the fines that they get for the dumbest stuff. I was
have
on
you
a
been hearing?
podcast. Well, it's always different. They do checks of the labs and the pharmacies, kind of like the health department would
Yeah.
for like restaurants.
What
but
is
they
the
do it
dumbest fines they're giving for?
not having a door locked or having something mislabeled
Just nitpicky shit.
and the industry
Let
guys,
'em-
you probably
no.
wouldn't hear this from them because it just get them in hot water. But
Yeah.
the people that work for the Department of Ag and the Center for Medical Cannabis, they flat out said, we're here doing an inspection.
Yeah.
If I go back without anything, I'm in trouble. So it's like, what are we doing here? Are we
Yeah.
playing cops? Or
I think what it is it's just that it's like what this comedian has said, like, sometimes when I have a fish tank, every once in a while just to show that fish I'm boss, I stick my dick in there. Like, that's exactly what they're doing. They're just like, hey, look,
100%.
hey,
Every sponsor
know
that
you-
you see in here, again, the local companies, KRCL, Grow Kratom, Coup de Gras, when this magazine first started popping out, actually, back up a little bit. There's a way that you can subscribe to Salt Lake City on the website.
Yeah.
I've got maybe 8 subscribers. This magazine's for free, so nobody's subscribing to it. It's kind of a way that people can kind of help support independent journalism, right?
Yeah.
Well, again, only 8 subscribers. Guess who one of those are? It's the Center for Medical Cannabis. So I send them one of these magazines every quarter, and they go through it with a fine-tooth comb to see if they can get anybody.
Yeah.
But what pisses me off is they see Empire. So they go check on Empire, and they always do it with a magazine in hand, just to kind of show them, like you said, stick the dick in the water, like, hey, we're right here.
show you.
Moonlight, Looking Glass, they've been in hot water because they're in the magazine, and it kind of gets to the point where, well, I know what they're doing, but,
Well, they're trying to put a chokehold on you because they're just like, look, that's one of the things that we have really, we didn't go into this with the expectation that we're going to make money from this.
No.
We always thought it was going to be cool
no, and
one
if you
day.
did, you were dumb, and the ones that did
Yeah.
right now are learning that they're fucked.
Oh, totally. There are so many podcasts out that they're just like, oh, it's another strain review show, but it's not.
Well, no, not in that regard. It's just the industry, a lot of, or at least so I'm not saying that podcasting is saturated.
No. It is.
I would
100%.
say 60% of the operators here in Utah that have one of the 3 licenses thought we'd have adult use cannabis by now. That was on their map. We wouldn't still be doing medical cannabis. And now that medical cannabis in Utah, and we've kind of stalled out, their 5-year plan isn't, they're redeveloping. What
Yeah,
their
they're
next
having to
5-year plan is.
restructure and look at it
And
to go.
we've seen it already happen here. And the thing that bugs me about the cannabis industry is most people get into it to build something and to sell it right away.
Yeah.
And
Oh, don't get me started on that.
right,
Yeah.
we have some of those companies here in Utah that they're really not producing they're just sugarcoating, getting the framework up so they can sell to somebody else.
They're sugarcoating shit to try and sell it. To
Well, no,
just
and
make
I'll
it
actually throw them under the bus. Is you got Cureleaf, you have Block, multi-state operators that work in some big states.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about Utah. I
Oh,
can't
no.
sell advertising to them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they
hard to
don't give
they won't even answer those calls. But we're out of magazines at their South Jordan or St. George location. They're calling me up.
Hey, can you come deliver more magazines?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the MSOs are what is going to ruin our industry over time if they keep going in that direction.
Yeah. And it's hard not to see it that way because it's the corporatization of it. They're just looking at it longevity,
Right.
and then they'll argue this is going to prop up the economy,
Yeah.
and that's a horseshit story that they're doing. They've already spent that money.
Yeah.
So whenever they're saying that, it's just, I never see that as these elected officials are actually there for the good of the people, which what they're supposed to be, right? I heard the best explanation of politicians was back in the day, these were people that took a break from the regular fucking jobs like being a teacher or a firefighter, and then they gave it 3-4 years of their life, and then they went back to that life.
Yep.
That's
now their careers.
Term limits and not, lifelong going in there.
And with
staying
that,
there.
no, I was just, this is what I wanted to segue into there, man, based on that. Like, do you see it more? I'm going to present something to you and you give me your opinion on it. Is the future of cannabis here going to be driven by the laws, the legislature who creates the laws, or the consumers?
Eventually, I'm hoping the consumers, and that's starting to happen where they're listening to our voice, but at the same time, they're playing a different game than, what medical cannabis should be. But
yeah, it's a very recreational medical.
That was
program.
a good question. It's kind of got me spun trying to think of how to spin that one. It should be the people that dictate, what our program is and what it's supposed to turn into. But since day one, that hasn't been the case. You can look at the closed door sessions and
even the fact that Prop 2 exists versus the
House
one
bill.
Yeah,
completely different deal, and they rewrite it every general session.
Yeah, and the fact that they're trying to now put in a law that allows them to do what they did years ago is kind of ludicrous because they're just trying to cover their ass.
I don't even like talking about this yet, mostly because I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Is closed door pharmacies just got a
what's a closed door pharmacy?
That's what we're trying to figure out. I'm on the newsletter for the state and Center for Medical Cannabis, the Cannabis Advisory Board, that stuff, and they used to do a monthly report, and now it's a quarterly report, and that's the way I stay up with the industry. Usually only industry people are really paying attention to those. It talks about patients numbers, cost, money spent. It kind of changes every quarter. This one had a document about closed door pharmacy operation, and we were kind of talking about it earlier where if you don't have a dispensary, it's pretty hard to get your product moving consistently and just moving, we'll put it that way. And that's where I don't feel comfortable talking about a whole lot because I don't know what it means, but it kind of sounds like we're going to be able to have closed door pharmacies throughout the state that will be operated by the delivery companies. But there's some speculation that you'll be able to buy product not from just the pharmacy anymore. It's going to be a way to buy it straight from the processor. And that's what I don't understand, what they're trying to set up.
Maybe
That's
just
weird.
Maybe it's a sort of delivery service that you could purchase at direct. You just can't go in. So they have the
That's why-
opportunity to sell maybe?
That's what it sounds like to me on paper, is that you have Wholesome Co. who delivers around the state. It's tough for them. They have their delivery hub in Bountiful, and every order goes out of there.
Oh, wow.
So if they're going to Vernal, Moab, St. George,
Holy shit.
their driver, it'd be a
So
tough
that's why I
gig.
wondered if it allows for like different hubs
Yeah,
in
but
that,
they have
and then
enough
they just
drivers.
place orders.
Well, and that's what it should be, at least I thought. But it
Yes.
seems like there's more to this that I just don't quite understand.
We'll have to look into it, yeah.
And
over
so that'll be
time.
the next month or two of kind of digesting that stuff.
That's
It
really
kind of sounds
interesting.
like what, in different cities and counties in California, one of them in particular in northern San Diego around Oceanside, there are no dispensaries in Oceanside, but there are a shitload of delivery services.
Yep.
Everybody, and they'll just say, we'll bring it to you. You just have to send us a picture of your medical, your license, your California state license, and we'll bring it to your house. That's it. That's all you need.
Interesting.
And I was like, that's cool. So now, but I could see how that kind of idea would work in that where maybe and this just comes to the optics for Utahns, because I'm not a traditional Mormon, if you would say, right? I mean, I'm a convert. And so for me, that's weird because I don't look at the same lens as these legacy people who have been here for a long time. And I can't help but think that the pharmacies that are currently there kind of is like this always like nod to, you could be with Satan too if you just walk through those doors. But hey, as long as it's in a pill bottle and it says Walgreens on your bag, that's okay. We're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could do that, I mean, I would never go to Walgreens to get weed. That would be the worst.
Right. And you guys would know better than I do because I'm not LDS, and I grew up in Reno, so I'm familiar with the Mormon religion, but I've never set foot in it like you guys have. Now that bishops have given the okay for medical cannabis, wasn't that the big switch for church members?
Well, I think they gave that okay even before the medical program came into it, because outside of Utah...
Because of the CBD factor and stuff when that started, right?
Not even that. So I talked to my parents about it because I had looked up the church's stance on it, because there's medical programs in all sorts of states long before it was medical here.
Yep.
And there are members of the Mormon Church in all of these states, in a state where it's considered medicine.
So they'd already crossed that bridge a little bit then.
In a little bit, because it's like, hey, if it's a medically approved thing and it's medicine coming from that, well, they have to look at it the same as a medicine.
There's an old work friend of mine. He lived out there. He was in the bishopric, and which is one of the leadership of that congregation. And he was there, and he was a hardcore consumer. I mean, put you to shame, which is weird, right? That's but okay. he had constant amount of flour, and he's like, there's not a time of the day where I didn't have it in my system. Right. Mm-hmm. And his wife had a lot of problems with it. They got divorced later on because of the optics. So I just keep thinking, like, if something like that would be proposed, maybe it's the optics of it, because it's like,
it's a big reason why we do a patient profile in every magazine. And that's probably the most important article we do in every magazine, is talking about a patient around Utah. And we've always joked around Small Lake City. Everybody knows each other. And that's the point of this. I want to show the firefighters, the nurses, teachers, people in the community that are using cannabis to live better lives.
Yeah.
And that's really what anybody's trying to do. I don't care if you're using cannabis recreationally or if you're using it medically. You're using it for the same reason.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of different reasons why, right?
Well, because it doesn't matter. And, I mean, there's lots of people who talk about it, but recreational use still is medical use, because every human has an endocannabinoid system, and your body's still going to benefit and gain value from that cannabis use, whether or not your intent is medicinal or recreational.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's like the same thing that I've been talking about with Brennan and several other people. You know, the addiction to pornography is actually seen better than being able to use cannabis within this religious community.
Yeah,
truly
more accepting of like, oh, hey, I look at porn. Oh, that's okay.
But it is a drug. It's like, you know, I told him about. I struggle with it because it was something that my mind was trying to fix and regulate, because the brain and the consciousness are two different things. So I'm just like, okay, why do I even want to do that right now?
Yeah.
And it's while I was using cannabis that made me stop and think about it, going, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Like, oh, I'm anxious, I'm upset, I'm not feeling good, I got tons of stuff in my world going to shit right now, and my mind's like, oh, you need drugs. Yeah. Let me get you some, I'll give you some dopamine and oxytocin, and you'll just chill out, and you'll feel good. But as that just is so quick of that dopamine and it goes away, it's not maintaining, it's not helping to be medicinal away. That's why we use it, is to slow down and going, I don't need to worry about all this shit.
It's almost counterproductive. You know, I don't know a whole lot about it, but addiction to social media, you're getting the dopamines just like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like why nicotine people get hooked, you know, and vice versa. You're getting the dopamine boost, so you're going to continue doing stuff like that.
Well, there was something I actually read that or listened to. It was some doctor talking about dopamine and how it's harder for people to fall in love now, because we're actually addicted to, and we get this dopamine and love, this excitement from our social media, from our phones, from this constant notifications and this stuff that we're constantly getting from our devices.
Decisions. We have so many decisions all the time. You know, I envy, you know, our great-grandfathers.
Very simple lives.
I grew up in a community. They hung out with certain people, you know, they didn't have a whole lot of decisions, we'll put it that way. So it made life a lot simpler. Now you've got a million decisions all the time.
Yeah, it's like small town USA, and the biggest thing that goes on in their town every Thursday night, everything shuts down to go to the football game. Yeah, like that kind of thing. Like I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's why you see the high school sweethearts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That we don't really see anymore, and probably never will.
Yeah. Everyone's addicted to the dopamine hits that we get.
Well,
constantly.
And it's the thing that nobody thought about while they were developing that. They thought it was going to be a great way to stay connected and enjoy that. But, later on, hiring people from the gaming industry, mainly the adult gaming industry and the casinos going, how do you keep people doing it? Like
when they invented the continual scroll, that was the downfall right there.
Dude, that was the money maker right there.
I can't remember the guy who set that up from ChatGPT, I think. He said he knew when he was developing that this was going to be something that people couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Oh, and it is. It's totally that way. Like you're getting constant. Like that's why TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I stay away from it because it does that. Like I'll find myself on Reels or something like that, and I'm like, no, I got to know why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I don't think I would do social media if it wasn't for Salt Lake City. But doing a platform like this,
wouldn't.
It's almost the biggest role I have and most cumbersome one, I think. We've been talking about this a lot lately. Is the lack of freedom of speech on
social platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the censorship that happens because it's like, oh, you've been flagged for this. Oh, and now your stuff won't be shown to anyone who doesn't follow you.
Yep.
Or you go out and you're like, cool, this got 200 views.
This up is, I think I told you about this, is I'm talking about the industry, which is Dragonfly, Wholesome Co., Beehive, Flower Shop, you name it. And I won't even name any companies. We'll highlight somebody's brand. And that post will get flagged like that. And it's not the algorithm. It's competition.
Yeah.
And
going, oh, that shouldn't be up here because that's not our brand.
Our industry used to be really collaborative. Back in 2018, we only had one goal, legalization. And we were marching on that together. And now that legalization and the rules and regulations have slowly trickled out, it's slowly divided our industry. So we're not all under one banner anymore. It's gotten to the point where it's cannabis versus hemp, THC versus THC.
Yeah.
You can name 1,000 divides, and it almost seems like it was instigated by somebody to kind of keep us down in a way.
Well, because if we're all fighting for separate things,
like
we're not all fighting
a local George
for the same.
Soros type individual. Yeah, it does feel like that, like a cabal.
Well, because everyone who fights for their own individual thing is not fighting for the all same thing.
No.
So if we're not all working together, we're all working individually, and that is way easier to go, this won't go anywhere.
That's a good point. What are you seeing we've talked about a lot of the good things of these, and I don't want you to go into specifics over there, but if in a perfect world and where you see the industry, local industry, you talk about a lot of the good things that they're doing, but where do you see that they need to be improving on?
The divide, 100%. It's almost like, if there's one thing that I've done right is I've gotten to know the industry, but also gain their trust. So I can go on tours at their grow or their lab, and we'll have heart-to-heart conversations. And that's why I support the industry, is I know all these people between Bajan and Nerith and Blake and Matt. They're all in the same fight. But I've had to learn that I can't talk about others,
to them.
There's, without even name, Beehive and Dragonfly are historically having gotten together, You can't find Beehive products at Dragonfly where you can't find Dragonfly products at Beehive. And I'm friends with both of them. Yeah. They're some of my closest friends, and it's that divide, and it's easier for me to see.
That's so weird, because we
used to hold events when the pharmacies were first starting to open. It was easy to get the whole industry there, and now it's tough to bring everybody together. And my biggest fight is being the glue. I figure if I can be the glue, keep everybody together somewhat, you know, we can rise together. But
and that's why a lot of it, and speaking on that locally, and maybe that's why the other ones don't necessarily want to be able to engage with us, or never have even shown to try and engage with us, is that Dragonfly was really cool about it.
Yeah.
And it's not like we got some special deal with them.
I get the same shit. Why do we have a Wholesome Co. article from their Grow in the Last magazine? Is because they let me go.
Yeah.
Because
they're there.
We're going to cover it.
There's a relationship, and they're allowing me to go check out their grow.
Yeah.
If they're hiding it and they're not allowing me, well, how am I supposed to go talk about it or write about it?
Yeah, and the way I look at Salt Lake City, I'm not the perfect cannabis user by any percent, but I've been in the game a long time, and I try to think, what would I want to see in these pages? And the most important thing is getting to know your grower since the beginning of time. People always claim they know their grower, but who really knows their grower, And actually getting to know where the person that's popping the seed is key. That's where I'd like to get the industry together. The grow community in Colorado, for example, they collaborate a lot, it seems like, or at least more so than here in Utah, where Cody doesn't know Ryan Turner at Wholesome Co., and then the flower shop doesn't know BI.
It's a very different, segregated.
Yeah. So getting them together, that's my biggest
hurdle
problem with the industry, I would say.
What do you think causes that? Is it just profits?
Their competition. If we had 200,000 medical cannabis patients, I don't think we'd have these problems. But we stalled out at 85.
What do you think our biggest
and they're fighting over customers.
What do you think our biggest barrier to entry for a patient is here in Utah?
Pay to play. Fuck.
Is it the cost of the products, or do you think the medical card introduction?
The medical card introduction. That's something that I don't know what the history of that or the future of that will be, but it bugs me that people have to spend hard-earned money up to $150. It used to be more.
Yeah, it was
$150 a year just to get access to medicine. I understand there needs to be checks and balances. Needs to, possibly see a medical professional. But
that's like any prescribed medicine.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay to register to get.
I'm going to go see my regular doctor next week for my annual checkup. I'll have to pay my copay, probably $10 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But if you get a prescription from him, you don't have to register to use or get access to that prescription.
Right.
No other medicine you have to pay to register to use. Like, we just have this ridiculous thing where it's and I know they have medical cards in other states, but
and you really can't blame the qualified medical practitioners or the QMPs, the clinics, because they do have so many checks and balances that when you go to see them, they can't just do it for free.
No, they have a regulatory board that they report to, or they lose their license.
Yep, yeah, and they'll use their QMP.
Oh yeah, well, and it's not provided by the state, so they're not making it has to be paid.
So if I ran a QMP, I'd probably charge $100. I'd have to.
You know what though? But even that, you said something that really got me thinking, and that's, I wish there was more collaboration.
Yeah,
and honestly, I think that's probably the root of a lot of this issue is the idea of we all can't rise together.
Our community is so strong when we are together, and I think that's what the state and some people on Legislative Hill kind of look at, and that's why I say it kind of seems like things are orchestrated a little bit.
Like someone's stirring the pot.
We got the industrial hemp program over here. We have the medical cannabis Let's only give so many licenses so they get mad at each other.
Yeah, right? Feel like we're restricting, and it's an us and a them.
And that's really where the qualm started, was the license disclosure, that pushing those out. And I don't know enough I know there are at least 150 people that applied for that, but I don't know the ins and outs of that, who got the licenses and why.
I heard lots of stories.
Yeah, I still do. And I know that some of them are probably accurate, But at the same time, I had a writer, and I won't throw him under the bus. He was bringing up the backdoor sessions or the closed door sessions in the beginning of the program, and an article that wasn't talking about that at all. And I was like, we got to get this out of here. People know already. We don't need to keep hitting the hammer on the head,
It's just time to move.
It's move forward, right? You know, and that's what we're trying to do. So when I see people on Instagram that are shitting on the program, it's like, you're not helping. Don't come with a problem without a solution, and nobody has a solution,
Well, and it's nice. I mean, the progression of the program has definitely gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, instead of having to go all the time throughout the year, just saying before the price was insane because you're paying that multiple times throughout the year.
But get that to, not to cut you both off.
No, go.
The pricing, it all stems from the abundance of rules and regulations. If you had to pay $150,000 to run this podcast to the government every year, it wouldn't be a free podcast, probably, right?
No.
But what I'm getting at is, and we're trying to get down to the bottom of this story, is where's the money going? Again, there's a lot of money being passed back and forth, but nobody seems to be making money except for the Center for Medical Cannabis. When you start adding stuff together, the fees that they're collecting from these companies, the $3 fees, we had 1 million transactions last year, so that means they brought in $3 million. And they've been really tight-lipped on where that money's going. And since we're a medical cannabis program, they get to be tight-lipped. Where if we were adult use, it'd be very transparent where the tax money is going. And that's the one sexy thing about adult use that I see. But lost my train of thought.
Must be good shit.
Damn you, marijuana.
But all the fee.
The
all
fees,
the
yeah.
fees and stuff, even the fines, that all trickles down to the consumer. And that's what we're paying for. So again, checks and balances, I get them. But
I wonder, so we have those, there's the monthly meetings on the Cannabis Board.
Mm-hmm.
Those are open sessions for anyone. And if we actually had more patients on those regularly,
100%.
I would see that we would actually affect and see change coming. Even as stupid simple as me and my shaky voice and Jesse, where his phone cut off halfway through,
That's
hopping in
hilarious.
going, I'm sorry, Utah legislature, you want to try and have some hand in the pot of we need to have the ability to change strain names if we don't like it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
You can
ridiculous
kindly
idea.
fuck off, sir.
Well, and
It's like they want to erase the grassroots movement that we had, and you can't do that.
no. Oh, it'll never go away. It'll never
It's
go.
like you guys are the new kids on the playground. You can't
You know,
come
and
in and go.
we have a review of Magic in this magazine. I was that close. Just because I didn't want Dragonfly to get brought into it, I was going to put the real name. And Jaw Magic, Jamaican strain.
Oh, they don't call it. It's got a longer name than Magic?
That's what Cody told me when we were down there, because we saw it growing before we consumed it.
Same.
He said it's a landrace strain from Jamaica. Jaw Magic is the full
Okay.
name. But
Oh,
the state wouldn't let
wow.
them have Jaw on the name
Because it's
it was
closer
too
to
recreational.
Jawbreakers?
Yeah, too
Jaw?
recreational. Yeah.
What
That's-
the?
It's the same way they got rid
So
of...
they're manipulating strain names anyway.
Well, there's a list, and it's without it in front of me. They banned a bunch of words that you can't use. Baked is one of them.
What about soaking? I mean, that's pretty popular at BYU.
That'd be a great strain name.
Yeah, soaking. Let's just call it like Prophet Joseph
Soaking
Smith.
in the couch.
Oh, don't even start that. Like, could you imagine the
You guys wanna try the Brigham Young?
shitstorm?
We're giving Relief Society some ideas. I love
Yeah, I
it.
know, right?
You guys want to try some President
No, it's
Healy?
not Brigham Young anymore. It's Bring Them Young. Bring Them Young.
Ew. I mean,
But-
you married him at like 14. You gotta.
You know
might
what?
as well.
That's actually like back in the day, people that were older than me and like in high school, they called BYU Bring Them Young. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because they're all stupid and impressionable. He's like, they're fun. He's like, those girls are the worst. He's like, they come there all like, no, the world is wonderful. They leave there with a PhD in sorority. And so they're just like, yeah, they could do all the cool things, the keg stands and all that shit. But no, you bring up a lot of really, really strong points. Is that the Utah consumer actually holds a lot of power here, and how to be able to really start understanding that kind of power is understanding what you're consuming, instead of just going there buying a Pepsi. Like, look, it's sugar water.
It causes the cream to rise, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hot dog water out there, but
that's what the
products
mark-
get found, right? And
Well, and that's why I don't hate on Dragonfly. That's why I want to try the zeros, because of that reason alone, because it's the market is asking for it. How can you say
that's
no?
where Dragonfly's in a pickle is. They've got a lot of different cannabis consumers that they've got to cater to, even though the brand zero isn't a cartridge that I'd be after. Again, that's something that people would prefer.
Yeah, flavored,
And it's kind of like
smells
the
great.
magazine too. I try to think of what I'd like in the magazine, but man, we have a huge cannabis culture here in Utah, but it's a very eclectic one. We have a lot of brand new cannabis consumers, and then we have the ones like us that have been consumers for a long time. And I got to talk to both of them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's where High Times has it easier, existing cannabis magazines, because I have to hit on the 101 stuff. I can't forget about that stuff.
Yeah.
But then also we got to talk to the connoisseur and give them what they want, the sticky, icky stuff. And
Yeah, we hope
flavonoids
to
and
do
stuff.
that. We really do, because we want to make it like just layman.
Well, it's a transfer too, because we're still talking to the 101 people, but they're probably going to read that connoisseur article. So educating Utahns about cannabis in the state, why they hate me, why I'm the Hugh Hefner is they think I'm trying to create a legion of pot smokers in the state.
Well,
And I could care less if you consume cannabis or not. If it helps you, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But don't be prejudiced against the people that do.
well, you know what? We're going to spit it at you right now. So we've got a plan to do a marketing campaign for our podcast using blip boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Cannabis School, we can actually advertise
We can't put a pot leaf up there and like that, but we have to put an explicit label like we used to do, like on music.
Yeah.
We have to put explicit. And all I'm thinking in my marketing mind is you're going to put explicit on a billboard that's going to be obnoxiously bright. It is going to pull people there. It's going to have our face.
remember the Cosmopolitan billboards? Cosmopolitan is porn.
Dude,
They wanted to do Salt Lake City as porn, about weed porn.
yeah, it's weed porn. Dude, we'd love to have you.
should.
Dude, we got to get you in a robe with some big ass
Big
like
Hugh
old,
Hefner looking.
yeah, those aviator sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oh, you
and
can't feel that one.
I mean, like, you know, but
State's going to go, yep, told you.
that's that motherfucker right there.
Get
That's
him.
the guy doing it. He's pushing it on the children.
One day you guys are going to be like, hey, what happened to the Salt Lake City guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Last time I heard is geo-tracking went out to the middle of Tooele.
Yeah,
And it
at like
ended up
3
in a
o'clock in
mine.
the morning. and
Dude,
then
we'll
it
be in
just-
the bottom there with you pretty soon. And we're going to take some of
Wait
that
for it.
heat off, because the reason is that this is why it exists, because we don't have those regulations at this very moment. If
You hit the nail on the head right there, and I'm trying to preach it to the industry, is they have their hands tied behind their back. I do not. As long as I'm not inciting violence or
Oh, that's
a
weird.
threat to national security, the state can't touch my content.
I don't know
I
what's
talk
going
with
on there.
cannabis people, so I know 99% not violent people. Put it
Right?
that way.
I don't.
It's like running into people at a concert, like the drunk guys fighting over there, and the cannabis people are kind of going, "Why is he doing that?"
Yeah, they're like just chilling. They're like, bro's like tripping out over there.
Fuck, settle down.
Well, and I mean, some of the things that we've had to do, like, you know, for instance, like we had to really lean into the culture on social media and just making fun of it. But the funny thing is that most of our listeners, we thought, oh, it's social media, because Brandon did a phenomenal job of figuring out how to grow that super fast, and it grew like it grew.
Yeah, that was
it grew.
insane.
It was
I don't know.
insane. It grew faster than a weed. This grew like an infection. It literally, of the term viral, it grew so fast. But the thing
we
is,
went from like 20,000 total to over 100,000 in like 3 months with no paid anything.
yeah, just
All
but-
organic.
That's how all
It was like,
cannabis
what the crap?
companies are, and what people don't realize is all our followers are organic. We can't do paid
No.
for stuff.
no, but then as soon as you get to a certain point, like they put a chokehold.
Yeah, that's where we're at. You know, we essentially stalled out, where we still grow, but it's not like what it was. You know,
Oh,
when
yeah.
Salt Lake City first existed, I couldn't not give 500 followers a month, you know?
Yeah, it was insane.
But now being shadow banned, it's why I try to tell people that are fans of Salt Lake City, is share our stuff. Just share it. That's all you got to do. Get it out there, you know. Grab 2 magazines when you get one at the dispensary, you know, one for your best bud. But
That's true.
that's the main point of the magazine, is technically you can't legally share your products that you get from the pharmacy.
Exactly.
But you
Yeah.
can share the magazine, you know.
Which is so cool. So you're going to be putting reviews in there, though. So
There's always reviews in here, and then we're starting the online one, which I'm hoping will catch on, because that
Yeah, that'll
involves
be
the
cool.
patients. So at the end of this product review section, a fall magazine coming out in a couple weeks, or about a week. We got a QR code that people can scan, and
that's
we'd like to
cool.
publish some of these too.
Yeah.
You know, so
No.
that's really important to me. Is, you know, I've got a voice, but I think it's more important to show the collective voice. You know, creating a forum. It's so fractured between Instagram, Facebook, and I'm trying to think of like SLC trees and stuff like that, and we need everybody to come together, you know.
yeah,
for real, yeah.
Whether you're pro or against it, I don't care.
Yeah, and
Speak your
we
mind.
want to help out in building that kind of collaboration because of how unique our place is. I mean, the best way that we know about it's like we didn't think that anybody here listened to us, but we didn't know that Nareth was a fan for a while.
Yeah.
And when Michelle came to us, says, "Oh, cannabis school's coming in," he goes,
Are they
they're-
flying in?
They're flying in." He goes, "No, they're from here." And he goes,
Yeah.
"What?"
Well, that's how I learned about you guys, was through Nareth.
Yeah, and
Think
it was
about it.
It was but it was cool for people to finally realize that. And the cool thing is, like, now when we go into dispensaries, like, you'll get a bud tender that knows who we are.
Yeah.
And they won't say anything. Like, they said, this girl over at Cureleaf, because I grabbed one of those. I was going to go camping in Idaho.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I can't burn flower there. Like, this is putting a big spotlight on my family. So I just got those select disties, those tiny little
The
ones.
little shots.
Yeah.
I tried.
Third of the gram or
Was
whatever.
there only like 10 milligrams in it? That was
No,
my
it's like
biggest peeve with maybe it was the flower shop made one too. I can't.
It was fine with me
Wave.
because it was just tiny and it was a good sampler, and it was just, there's no smell. It was like perfect.
You know, we used to have drinks where the flower shop was making, they were True North at the time, were making 12-ounce seltzers. It was so cool. You could go into the pharmacy and they'd pull it out of the cooler, and it was already cold.
Oh, that's
the
so cool.
Did away. They didn't want drinks. It was too much like alcohol, from what I've gathered, and so that's why we've got the new shots. They put a 3-ounce top on drinks, so you can't make anything more than 3 ounces. Which is a shame, because when I go out of town, I love getting infused coffees and infused drinks in general. We're really missing out here in Utah.
Massively.
I think it will see a maturity over time, of course.
Will. Oh, 100%.
And it's going to have to be more of a I mean, the way I see it from a marketing perspective is that the only way that you can really change the market is to get buyers unified.
Right. Well, you need to get within the market too. And what I see here in Utah is there's a lot of people that felt, and you can't blame them, I'm trying to think of the words, but when the closed door session stuff all went down, they were trying to give me a word where you've been
bamboozled.
Yeah, pretty much bamboozled, but you've been something else. But anyways, you got bamboozled, and they refuse to support that program now. And we need to get those people on board.
Yeah.
It's only going to change with them. The more they support, other states, and that's why I tell people to get their medical cannabis card. Right now, the state kind of looks at it as a threat because there's only 86,000 of us, but that's a lot of voters. We need to get 200,000 of us. And that's where I think looser laws will come. There's going to be a point where Utah's going to have to choose between medical and adult use. And you'd hear most people say they want adult use, but if we can expand the medical cannabis program, let's do that. Let's not get taxed.
Let's just leave it as
let's get home grow rights in, no more pay to play.
And just a relationship with your doctor to make that decision of like, is this okay for you?
Yeah, the doctor, that's it. And that's where we have, a problem.
I see that.
I'm going to see my doctor, my main primary care physician. I don't even talk to him about weed. He doesn't even want to hear it.
No. Not at all.
And until,
most of them have no understanding of it either.
No.
Oh, I've talked to him many times. And it's funny because they get this really uncomfortable,
and then you're the stoner all of a sudden. They look at you completely different.
I just find that as a great opportunity. I said, no, it's cool. I have a podcast. So this is a funny thing that Brandon and I talk about, and it works everywhere. It's this, I even saw this funny ass Instagram video I have to send you about, but it was, I just go into someone there and go, hey, where are you going over there? I said, it's okay, I've got a podcast. And they go, oh, okay. Like when we were at the Vegas, we were at MJ BizCon. That's pretty much what we did.
Yeah.
Media
has full reign down there. It's a fun event, and you reminded me going down there. As soon as I bring up Utah and cannabis in the same sentence, I get the eye roll, and that's starting to change. And the magazine's been a big help of that, because like you were just saying, I'm on a podcast. This has been my calling card.
Yeah.
So when people thumb their nose at Utah, not being up to speed, I'm like, well, check it out first.
Right. And ours is like cool. Ours is the #1 cannabis podcast on Apple and Spotify in the world. So we didn't tell anyone we were even from Utah till we were a year in.
And that's what we want to do. We want to, part of our normalizing campaign is going to be like #1 cannabis podcast, and it'll have both those logos, Spotify, Apple, said homegrown here in Utah. And that is going to be able to bring a focus on somebody who is a part of the local faith, somebody who left the local faith, that we get along, and that we can talk about cannabis and the way that we can synergize throughout our conversations. Like, I'm not all sunshine and rainbows about the church, but whoever is about their faith, right? There's just things you're going to disagree with, and that's okay. But because I have a podcast, I don't get painted as a pariah. That would be the dumbest thing ever if they were like, we got to excommunicate that guy. I'd be like, that's a big mistake. That's a huge mistake because of how many cannabis consumers are a part of the religion. And in California, I know so many people in the religion that are in California that have been legacy consumers well past even when it started to go into the medical program in California. So it's funny where people have this perception, because when I tell them, I'm like, yeah, I'm a Christian and I use cannabis, they immediately change their perception of me. And it's the people who go, oh, I guess Christian people are okay, because most of them think we're dicks. And then the other side is like, oh, well, maybe stoners can be cool too. And that's the only reason why I wear it. My wife wishes I didn't, probably. I mean, I guarantee she doesn't. Some of my kids, like, my wife goes, the kids feel like when you go outside and you smoke, they're kind of like, nervous about it. And so then send them out and talk to me.
Yeah.
And my son I have an autistic son, came out and I had my bong and he's like, hey, Dad. I'm like, what's up? And he goes like, oh, we are busy. I'm like, no. What's up? It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can talk to me eating an apple, can't you? And he goes,
Talking
no.
with the parents is really kind of like the patient profiles. That's a really important topic, and finding people that are actually open about talking about being a parent, being a cannabis consumer. And there's not as many of them as I'd like, but there are a lot of them that are parents and good patients, or vice versa, patients and good parents.
Yeah.
No, and Brandon opened me up to that. I mean, the way he went deep in it.
I still resent my parents a little bit for not telling me. They were potheads, but we were both hiding it from each other. Kind of like in Half Baked, where the dad's in one room and his son's in that room. That was me. That was me, and it kind of depended. Where I remember my pot getting thrown away a couple of times coming home, and it's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? And then get lectured, and
they smoked it all.
then probably,
fuckers.
But now, it's funny. My mom and we have a really cool relationship about cannabis, and she came to me a while back about, what is the plant, and that's how I kind of look at the magazine, is how I talk my mom about the
that's
entourage
cool.
effect. And her first question was, how come when I try this strain or that strain or this strain, I get different effects? I'm like, okay, perfect. We have terpenes, cannabinoids, and like what you guys have explained a million times, but it's tough. I'm not a science teacher,
No. And I think, but it's even better than that, because that's one thing I think that the logical sense of these people that have demonized it, because you said the war of drugs did really great, like what you were talking about with your parents.
Oh yeah.
Like you remember this commercial back when I was a kid, and we're close to the same age, right?
Why
So,
your brain, man.
well, no. Remember that one we're going, the dad comes there, he's got this like giant, like Chicago cop mustache. It's like humongous. It looks like a walrus. And he comes over and he's got this box open and there's all this shit in there. And he goes, where did you learn this? Where did you learn this? And he goes, you were right. I learned it by watching you.
Yeah,
and then he runs out of the room and the guy's like this. He's like, fuck me. He found out. Like that was the reason why he was they were mad at you, because they're like, don't be like me.
I love hearing parents that go, my kids don't know, and I'm like, they fucking know.
No, fuck yeah, they do.
They're only 7. They fucking know.
You're like, how? I know you think your kids are pretty dumb, but they actually seem to know more.
I still
receptive.
remember the first time I found pot in the house. I was in the 3rd grade, and I was building a tree house in the backyard, so I was climbing on the garage.
They had
to
a
get
hit out
nails and
there?
shit. Well, I found an Altoid can, and I was like, boom, found the candy, right? And I opened that up, and there's one of those old metal pipes that had a chamber bowl.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
some nugs, and I'd been to Dare. So the first thought I thought was, my dad's a drug addict. Oh, my God. It fucked me up for the rest of the day.
Oh, my God.
Because,
that's what they teach you.
I'm like 9 years old, maybe, or even 8. And
That's the best story
they
ever.
start there pretty early, and it's funny how that, as I grew, that perception slowly changed. And then the first pot I ever tried was out of his stash, I knew where it was.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Especially that mentality, right? That was.
But fuck, man, it's like Dad was here right now. Not to cut you off.
No.
Why didn't you? I had to learn from the other dude in high school. Who was not a science teacher.
You don't know what their products.
Shit, back in 2000, how were we describing weed?
Yeah.
You had chronic, swag, and then mids.
Yep. Oh my God, that's exactly what it was.
And
I remember when
you don't hear
medical
chronic anymore.
No.
Back in the day, that was
I know. That's how
chronic,
you heard it.
And medical, living in Reno, they would call it medical weed, and you knew it was coming from north, and it was going to be shit that knocked your socks off. It was always $10 more.
Yeah.
But it was good. That's the first time I got familiar with like commercially grown,
high quality, like very different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when you start becoming a connoisseur.
Yep.
It's the same thing like, with craft alcohol, because once you've had something that has been made with a purpose.
Can't go back. It's just like drinking hot dog water.
It really is.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be so hard for me to smoke disties now.
I know.
It's impossible for me now. A couple of times, it.
No, I still have them.
Oh, and yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I still got plenty. There's a backup if I need
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's not
The
preferred.
acquired taste. I had a college friend in Ohio asking me yesterday what the deal with solventless was. And he's like, the bud tender was talking about solventless. Said it was the shit. Is it really the shit? I'm like, it's really the shit.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of broke it down for him and told him about cold press and stuff like that. And, You know, if you like cannabis, full plant spectrum cannabis, that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea, man. We should talk about that. Let's do a Cannabis 101 about cold press. Let's go into that, like all that, because that's what they want to hear about. Like you're making a lot of sense on those things, because some of the things that we didn't want to do with cannabis school is get too deep into science, and we don't. Now we've really worked on it, because you listen to our very first episodes, like we're very wooden, and it's. And then I'm so glad that they were shorter, because we're like, fuck, how long was that? It was like trying to hold your breath underwater as a little kid.
Shit, that was like 15 minutes. Okay,
that was 15 seconds, actually.
Yeah, that's what she said.
But now, where we can have like this long form discussion that's really open, and it's not stony by any means. It's just very cerebral. We're able to just discuss this openly.
Yeah.
One of the things I really appreciate about you being here today, Cole, was that you are just no holes barred. Like, you're like, yeah, that motherfucker, and that guy, you remind me of that, like, video where that dude's in the backyard and the kid's, like, messing with his daughter, and he slaps the kid, and then the guy comes over and then he slaps that guy, and then some woman comes over and goes, hey, and he slaps them, and then a police officer shows up and he slaps them. He's just slapping everybody. He's just like, nope. And that's what I love about you, because it's just like, you know what, true journalism. I've got this idea in my head of like this Hollywood-esque, gumshoe detective / journalist going, hey man, I want to know everything about it. But the cool part about you, man, is that Hugh Hefner of the cannabis industry.
Hilarious.
Yeah, because that, for me, that's just like, all right, that's provocative, but in a way it's like, well, why would they call you that? Yeah. And then they get to talk to you and they learn about this really wholesome upbringing that, your parents and you both were completely like anybody in the marketing. I don't know why there's not enough case studies on that. There should be a marketing case study on the war on drugs and how successful it was and how much money did it make. And how much money did they funnel through that?
Then they'd have to pull down their pants and show us how they did it all, and that'll never happen.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the greatest marketing campaign ever. And it makes it sad, because exactly what you said, that's what I'm thinking now, is that the reason why the cannabis community is still seen that way is because there's not enough unification in there. It's just that, but there's no solid brands. We thought MedMed was going to be like a high quality brand. Turns out it's just a shit show like everything else.
Yeah, there's a lot of those
coming out.
A lot of those.
Right. So
careful who you trust in the cannabis industry. We'll put it that way.
It's coming out of the woodworks. Yeah, for sure.
But that's a good thing, though.
There's sharks in every industry, And it's just,
they have to be.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a shyster in there.
Yep.
But
not everybody can be what's that called? Arizona tea. It's not always going to be the same price no matter what.
Yep.
We got enough money. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, man, wholesome. But, dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah, Cole, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you coming on the show.
No, thanks,
if you guys want to check out his links, check out Salt Lake City. We'll have them down in the show notes below.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it doesn't matter where you at. You should definitely be checking out this magazine. Since it's going digital, that's even cooler, because now we have the opportunity to really be able to see, like, what you can start seeing from real, non-corporatized journalism in cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to our website, we have our archive up digitally. Anybody can pop on
Hell
and look
yeah.
at any magazine from the past.
Yeah,
But it's been fun.
Go check them all out.
Yeah.
See you
Thanks,
guys next week.
Appreciate you.
Take care.